Tap the link in bio to find your local shop on Food Finders Hub now. Want to taste the difference that real freshness makes? Let's talk about sourcing amazing local eggs. Choosing local means supporting incredible British farmers and their dedication to quality. From farm to your table, the freshness is unmatched. Experience richer flavor and vibrant yolks.
That's no
Build
yolk.
a connection with the growers. Knowing your farmer adds a special layer to your meals. Ready to find the freshest eggs near you? Visit foodfindershub.com now to connect with local growers.
Cluck, cluck, wake up your
I'll
mind.
take that to chill out for the day.
Fill up your day.
Oink, oink.
Smart little bites that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio here at FFTradio.com.
Oink.
Food for Thought Radio here at FFTradio.com.
Oink, oink, oink.
What?
No, order, sit and leave.
This is the best political satire broadcast in the universe.
Order! I say to the honourable gentleman, give me this.
You are listening to Fockham Hall with Eric von Essex.
Good evening and welcome to another exciting show. And tonight the theme is time going backwards. And we've got as our guest, well, we normally call him Anorak, but tonight he's Paul. And if Paul English comes on, because there'll be two Pauls, we'll call him Anorak. So good evening, Paul. And he's our transport minister. How are you?
Good evening, Eric. Good evening. How you doing? You okay?
Oh, mustn't grumble. And you were the first one on, and yes, this is. And he said, "Was it? Can I have a two-finger salute?" Here it is. Can I have a two-finger salute to the demonic, satanic World Cup, please? With my compliments. I detest football, so it's and a double one. Oh, yes, it's an American. It's finger one.
Thanks.
Yes, that's excellent. That's what we need. I bloody hate football. Always have done.
And me.
Between you and I, there was. I don't like sport. I mean, and I was the kid at school that was the arse on a complete plonker on the sports field. I got kicked at, spat at, get out the bloody way, because I come from a non-sporty family. And when I was at school, if you looked sporty but weren't sporty, you got worse bullying than otherwise.
That's why it's so important to not take any near the national anthem. That's why it's so important to be proud of the good things in America. Private property, the right to self-defense, the right to own your own business and live your own life and worship the God you choose or not worship God. And
excuse me, we've got Paul that's having a bit of trouble.
There you go. Sorry about
was
that.
that was that
We're live in Alabama.
I've just been out playing my banjo. What was that? Yeah, sorry.
Don't-
I was just checking the start of your show from the rear end, as they say.
Yes.
And yeah, everything's fine with your rear end. So
John does
I've
that.
just come in and I was still checking it, and you got a double loopback, feedback, kickback, whatever it is. So sorry. About
Really? It's painful, isn't it? Yes. I'm still taking the tablets. Now, tonight we'll be starting off with you saying time going backwards. And they're trying to, it seems, revert us to savagery. Because when you think about it, architecture, which is one of my sort of things, got to its peak, I believe, in 1914 with Art Nouveau. And it's declined rapidly since then. It's absolutely bloody nosedived. Fashions are crap now. Music, crap. And have you noticed that music is getting simpler and simpler? Humor used to be sophisticated. It got very sophisticated in the 1970s, 60s and 70s. And then suddenly political critics came in and it's crap. It's not funny. It's simplistic. You look at people like Spike Milligan. he was very sophisticated with his humour. It was bloody funny. Now, it's, but now I'm going to mention a word that nobody will probably know what it is. Are you ready? It's Silvatica. So Silvatici. 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 Now, you know what it is, Paul, because we've talked about it before the show. Do you know what it is, Paul? Sorry, Anorak now, sorry. Do you know what it is, Paul?
What, me?
Yeah. I mean, you can get tablets or ointment for it, as Anorak said before the show. You might be able to. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I was going to cheat, but I'm not going to.
Well,
how do you pronounce that? A musical artist called Silvatici.
Silvatici. It sounds like Mantovani, doesn't it? Do you remember the Mantovani with his tumbling strings? Well,
To be honest, it sounds like something you find on page 3 of The Sun, to be honest with you.
Silvatici actually was a guerrilla group that fought on after the Norman conquest in 1066 for 4 years, and they were backed by the local people. And they say that is where the Green Man comes from. Now, you look at the pubs called the Green Man, you look at these things because apparently Silvatici means sort of like people of the woods. And what they would do hit and run attacks on the Normans and leg it straight back into the woods where the Normans couldn't find them. And people had never heard of them. But this is part of our history that's been hidden, the Silvatici, because our history has been written since 1066 by the Normans. Now, did you know that there was a guerrilla group in Poland after 1945 that fought on against the communists until 1964? And they got no backing from the West. And I think they just ran out of ammunition. And that was a long time. You think about it, an underground guerrilla group from 45 to 64. That's almost 20 years. So these things are sort of kind of written out of history. And when you think about it, could we reinvigorate the Silvatici spirit? We talk about the Dunkirk spirit, but what about the Silvatici spirit? Because
do you think you're pronouncing it correctly?
I don't know.
I'm worried. I don't either. I don't mind the way you're pronouncing it. I'm just completely bemused.
Well, anybody else? Silvatici. Silver sounds like silver titty, doesn't it? Hello, have you got a silver titty?
That's what I said. Page 3 of The Sun.
That's right. So,
that's what you call the bottle tops.
So, what is it? When I was talking about architecture, a Roger Sketbook says the crapper toilets had style, especially the ones in Liverpool Street. Yes.
I think the Silvati is how it's pronounced. That's what I suspect. And the Silvati were followers of Edric. Okay.
Yes. Well, what about the CI?
Who was the leader of that thing? Because it says here in that thing called My Brain. No, it says here he was also known as the Wild. This is Edric, Eadric, the leader of the naughty people, as witnessed by such by names as Sir Wild, Salvage, and in Latin Silvaticus. That's how it would be pronounced. They put the emphasis on the A. So it'd be Silvaticus. So, yeah, I guess it would be the Silvati or the Silviti that you're talking about.
You always have this one smart arse, yeah, because I was looking at the CI at the end. I don't know what that's supposed to stand for.
The Silvatici. Yeah, I suspect that would be the pronunciation of the day, but then I wasn't there, so I don't know what I'm talking about, do I?
That's right.
It's just a guess.
But we carry on, because I believe in reincarnation. And I think we do definitely carry our DNA on with us. Now, do you remember Ainsley Harriott, the chef? I don't know if he's still around. I hope he is. He was a bit of a laugh. Do you remember Ainsley Harriott? They did. Who was it? Who do you think you are? That was looking back into his ancestors. And his ancestors were from the West Indies and were slaves. But his great, God knows how many grandfathers, I think it's in the 18th century, was white, and he came from the same part of London where Ainsley was living at the time. Isn't that weird? Out of all the places he could live, he lived in the same part of London that his great-grandfather came from, or
It's like bloody homing pigeons, isn't it?
It is. And there's lots of other weird things like that with our DNA, which we sort of home in on places. I mean, my sister always had a you sorry, carry on, mate.
No,
Anurag?
Chris. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say my sister homed in on Greece. She always thought that was her home. I home in on Cornwall. I always think of that as my home. So what is it? I mean, is there any place, sort of Anurag or Paul, where you consider you just feel a gut feeling that's your home? You don't know why. Though you're not living at the moment.
There's certainly places I've been to where I felt more home. Obviously, I've mentioned before about the Czech Republic. No end of times, obviously, know about that. I love there. I haven't been there for quite a few years now, but every time I used to go back, I used to enjoy it. But then when I was up in Scotland 2 months ago, it felt very homely there as well. It's hard to explain but just traveling around there, seeing the beauty of it and the towns, the cities, even some of the shitholes in Glasgow, like where did I get off at? Coatbridge, Sunnyside, which is a bit of a dodgy place to be fair, but it didn't feel intimidating. It felt fine, even though the pigeons were I wouldn't say it was rough, but even the pigeons were beating up another pigeon when I was on the 10 minutes I was waiting for that train.
Glasgow.
It was three on one. Proper rough, but
yes. Did you get what they call the Glasgow kiss? That's when they headbutt someone, because apparently there's a couple of terror people. Well, we don't know whether it was set up or not, who tried to set up a bomb. Sorry, it's an ice cream van. Sorry. I wonder what the noise was. I could hear this tinkly noise. No, anyway, they whether it was a put-up job or not, I don't know. I saw up. And some Glaswegians came up and gave this blokes a headbutt. Boom! That's Glasgow. Where do you put a bomb here?
Is that scary? Even the bomb ran off.
It's funny that, but Paul, is there any places where you feel that?
No, there isn't actually. I was just wondering. Not that jump straight into mind or anything. I maybe all of us feel as though we're in the wrong place when we're younger, because it should be better than this, or some kind of whinge starts to build up and all that kind of stuff. So I could never understand why I was where I was. That was always a mystery to me. I've mentioned that before. I used to say to my dad, "Dad, why don't we live in New York?" "Oh, you daft bugger." I just couldn't get it. It's just true, because I was just easily influenced by TV. I just was. I was very young, and I just thought, "Oh, that looks wow." Now, of course, I have a very different view. I would rather be a hobbit in the middle of nowhere, just having hot bread and piles of tea and padding around a little bit. It's quite an exciting thought, is that really? But when you're young, I guess you get influenced by all sorts of things, don't you? You don't even know what you're getting influenced by. But there was never any one particular place.
Well, it's strange, because in our age group, all we saw on television was America. How marvellous it was, and it looked like, because what got me is when people went to places like a bank or a courthouse and they just parked their car outside, never locked it, and just walked away from it. I mean, that's in America. I mean, in reality, within about 3 seconds, they're getting nicked, I would have thought. But the funny
when you
thing,
look at America, what they used to show in the movies was this America of being, this massive place that needed respect. But then when you look at the general day-to-day things like the police stuff, I have a look at every now and then. To be honest, it looks like it's just random houses in random places and no real character about it. Whereas, I know you don't know London, but or Liverpool, for example, Liverpool's got the centre is full of character, full of old buildings.
Oh yeah, alive,
nice atmosphere there. You know what I mean? It's whereas I don't seem to get that with a lot of what I've seen. I've never been to America. What I've seen on Google Earth and things like that, it just seems a bit.
I think you'd be unlikely to when you think about it, Paul, because it's brand new. I know we don't think of it because what is it? 250 years as of yesterday. That's nothing, Burger. It's absolutely brand new still, really. And I think it's why it's been, well, it isn't, of course. It's slightly seasoned by now. But it's, I think, I don't know. I wasn't, obviously I come from a long line of weeds who didn't want to get on boats and cross the Atlantic and go over there. Well, that's not exactly true. In fact, my mate the guy I used to work with, said, the story goes that all the adventurous ones went to America, and he used to say they were all the quitters that ran away and wouldn't fight against the king. So it all depends what your perspective is. And I don't mean any of that, to be quite honest. But I just think, it's a vast country. I mean, it's just stupidly big. And it is. It's so stupid. I mean, doesn't most of Western Europe fit into Texas?
I think so. And also you could fit America into easily into the corner of Africa. That's how big Africa is.
Well, that's that's even dafter, is it? And you can fit Africa. You can fit Africa into a corner of Russia. No, you can't really. But Russia's stupid. Of course, it's very cold in Russia, so at least at least your ice cream's not going to melt.
Well, that's right. Once upon a time, I mean, my grandfather got dragged off by the Bolsheviks. So, I mean, you got to be very careful in Russia.
You
don't
do.
want that.
But that was painful.
It made his eyes water. Yes. But no, seriously, though, I mean, when you look, time going backwards, we are definitely going backwards in time. Things are not as good as, in many ways, as the past. I mean, all right, it's all right to look back at rose-coloured spectacles, but things in the past, there were some good things, quality. That's what we're not having. And something else is houses were round. You go anywhere in the world where it's still tribal, the Amazon jungle, Africa, some places in very remote India, but not many now, the houses are round. And there's a round house near where I live.
Well, there were a lot of houses around me when I was a lad as well. I know what you mean.
Yes, no, a roundhouse round where. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's all right. I do see a joke, but no, I'm a bit dick tonight. But no, when you think about it, why did they naturally build houses that are round? And I think it's because they resonated.
And it wasn't just houses either, Chris.
No,
because back in the day, you used to have locomotive depots. Had a roundhouse. So the one that's left now is Barrow Hill in Chesterfield, and that's a legitimate roundhouse for locomotives. But you go across to mainland Europe, and every locomotive depot has a roundhouse. So you've got basically a turntable with a load of tracks going off it and a circle of building around it that they put the locomotives in, or a semicircle of buildings that the locos go into.
It's interesting.
Well, maybe it's because they had round tables.
Maybe there's safe space.
But again, King Arthur and his round tables, because they say that I was saying this again before we came on here, that there's an old I don't know, wives' tale that if ever this country was attacked, King Arthur would come out and defend this country. Or where the bleeding hell is he with all these rubber boats coming over the channel? He needs a swift kick up the arse, I think. So if anybody knows King Arthur, give him a kick up the arse, all right? So that's what he did.
Right up the Arthurs.
Yes.
Yeah. But, well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, the idea of round houses is not would we think of that? Is that always true? What about these? They're not always round. I mean, if you go back to sort of ancient ruins and things, like
the Romans,
the Acropolis and stuff like that. Yeah, they're rectangular, but they're done to golden proportions, aren't they? Whatever they are, the golden mean and all this kind of stuff. So that understanding of sort of, I don't know, ancient geometry and the principles of it and what it actually not only signifies, but maybe the sort of vibrational space. And there's tons to all that, because it's a bit like you go to certain pubs because they've got a certain vibe.
Yeah.
Don't you?
That's right.
And it's not just the architect. It's often down to the landlord. If the landlord's an arse, you never go back again, or you didn't used to. But generally, if it's also in a nice building, the landlords are not arses, because the building sort of rubs off on them. It's a bit. Everything affects everything else. If you're wearing clean underwear, you're happier for it, and it's the same sort of thing. Being in a nicely designed space, I guess. All these sorts of things. And the other thing about time as well, Eric, I was just, I know we say this all the time. Sorry, pun intended, but It's absolutely shooting by. It's got stupid. A day to me feels as though it lasts about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Same here, and you can't get things
mad.
done.
Look at the time now. I'm going to bed soon. I've only just got up a minute ago. It's just sort of ridiculous. I've been up since early morning, but it just absolutely blasts by. I wonder whether, in part, the sort of regimentation of screen watching and working away like that really speeds things up. You know, when they call it a rut. I mean, I don't feel like I'm in a rut. I possibly am, where you're just doing the same thing over and over. It tends to make everything speed up. We didn't have any internet yesterday for 10 hours. It was really rather interesting. So I just had to go off for a walk. I thought, oh, this is interesting. I think it's the longest.
Someone pulled a plug out.
I know they just had what do they call it? Local area outage, something like that. I actually think it was the sodomites that were in town because there was a big bummers parade going on or something down here. And I was about to walk down there. My son said, "Dad, don't go in that direction." I said, "Why, lad?" He said, "Because." I said, "Oh my, thank you very much for the warning. I'll head off to the west." Am I allowed to say such a thing? Well, I just did.
You just did. Sorry, it's hit my funny bone. Well, I when I worked in London, this was quite some time ago. I sometimes used to go into the office on Saturday mornings because it was a very high pressure project I was working on, and because I was contract, you still got the same rate of pay. You didn't get extra for going in on weekends, but when you're freelance, you work all the hours that you can get because you don't know where the next crust of bread's coming from. You see. Anyway, I didn't know it was one of these pride parades on, and that particular day, and I used to work down at Longacre, and I used to walk down to the embankment and catch the Circle line round to Liverpool Street, and then from Liverpool Street get the mainline train home, you see. Anyway, and the reason I did that and didn't get on at what's the bleeding station there, I can't remember what it was now, is I suffer slightly from claustrophobia down in deep tube stations. So I'm all right on the Circle line, but when it gets a bit deep, I get a bit that was since I was trapped down there for a couple of hours, but that's another story. Anyway, what happened is as I was walking down the embankment, you couldn't get anywhere near the embankment station. It's full of crowds. What the bleeding hell's going on? Well, with the District and Circle line, the stations are so close together, you can walk to the next station. So I was walking along the embankment towards the next station, and coming towards me was like a freak show. And there's me walking along. Yes, because it was one of their sort of pride.
Sorry about that.
It was a pride sort of day, you see. They're very proud. And it was freaky. And there was me, stuck out like a sore thumb, going the opposite way with my briefcase, a pair of Levi's on, and a shirt like this.
Handlebar moustache and a revolver.
That's right. That's what I should have had.
But it wasn't the only sore thumb down there either.
Well, that's right. And I stood waiting to cross the road, and there's this sort of island in the middle of the road, and there's two old-style police there. So a policeman and a policewoman. And they looked at me, and I looked at them, and we both burst out laughing because actions spoke louder than words. Because we both looked at this freak that was crossing the road towards me. I was thinking, what the bloody? And
how long ago is this, Eric?
This was a long time ago. I'm talking about.
So that's when the police still had people in them that had a sense of humour.
Yes, this was the early This is about 1990s. This was.
You could share a knowing nod to one another and just roll your eyes in the back of your head and go, bloody hell. Right, got it. Yeah, those days are gone as well, aren't they?
They weren't far from retirement, let's put it that way. I think they were, And they just looked at me. I looked at them and we both burst out laughing. But, it was disgusting. People semi-nude and things like that. I was frightened of catching something. I mean, it just felt vile. That's all it was. And there's buses with balloons on them and sort of topless. You don't know whether they're women, men, or what they were. Sort of at the top, and there's children around, families walking around.
Vermin faulty.
Vermin. Yes, we got to shoot them. Yeah,
that's from Faulty Towers. There's a rat. A rat faulty.
I bet you were scared. But if you were scared to get a pound out of your pocket in case it went on the floor.
Well, it's about the only time I wouldn't bend down and pick it up. But I just couldn't believe it. I just sort of I mean, this was the 1990s, but now, I mean, it's sort of accepted. Well, it's not accepted in my neck of the woods, but it is accepted by some people, but not by me, I'm afraid. Well, I'm not afraid. No, I think it's bloody disgusting. I mean, why is it they seem to have this obsession about sex? Why can't they have it about something else? Like, I don't know, Constipation Pride Day or something like that. Or something, or, can anybody think of any good ideas for some sort of Pride Day?
Well, maybe we should have a National Rail Day.
Yes.
Where
I was just looking, actually, speaking of rail, I was just looking at your picture, Paul, and I'm just wondering, have you put on a bit of weight?
It's the excessive.
You're looking quite heavy there on the tracks, man. It's quite a thing, and obviously the crimson anorak is quite. It's not quite what I expected, but it's still looking good. Nice sunny day.
This is weird, but I'm rather bulbous at the moment.
Yeah. And Paul, a 300-ton diesel locomotive. It's great.
But
that goes back to what you were saying about how time changes, and I mean those things were the thing in my picture was they were from the 1960s, 62, 63 built, and there's still plenty of them knocking about even now.
Good
which
heavens.
shows that back in the day, we could actually manufacture locomotives in this case that work and still work even now, and drivers love them, and the engineers are easy to fix. If it goes wrong, you see with a kick, it works. But I was talking to a driver yesterday, and just going on the back of the time thing. London North Western have just taken on some new Class 730 electric units to replace far better Siemens built units. And I was talking to this driver, and he said the driver actually has to stand up in the cab now because of the sway of the carriages as it's travelling along. And you think, well, so in 2026 we can't build trains that actually are stable on the track. They're just crap, absolute cheap rubbish.
What about those buses that were built in 1959 where you could jump on the back of them? What were they called now? They were the Route
Those designs were
the Route Masters.
Yeah, Route Masters. But I mean, the original design from those came from the 1930s, I think. It goes back quite a while. The other thing, Paul, I actually saw something the other day, and I thought about you in the realm of public transport. It was a film, sort of one of these AI revamped films from London about 1922 or something. It was quite impressive. And the thing that was really knockout was the amount of electric trams. They're all over the place, and these things just plain work. Of course, I guess, when you're younger and they tell you that sort of like Rome collapsed and all this kind of stuff, you can't figure out why. Why? What happened? Did everybody just not get up one morning and it all fell over or something? Yeah. But I think from what we're going through right now, you can begin to see one aspect of it, which is a kind of an inability for people to know what's sound and good behavior anymore. There's a disturbance in the force, Skywalker. There really is. You can feel it. There's a disturbance in the force. So that the default position for living today is just a complete mess. There are no goals that are worthy of achievement. They're not even talking about that. Everything is about sort of reducing a problem. And when you look at all the problems, there's only one, which is a bunch of puppets who are quite happy to have the bankers stick their hand up the backside and do whatever they're told. And we have to say it's very dangerous. It is like a virus of the civilizational bloodstream. We've got a virus. It's massive. I think. And there's a quote from someone. I keep looking for it. I can't find it. It's really to do with this thing about do-gooders. That they have an energy that never sleeps. They work tirelessly. It's that thing like the devil makes work for idle hands. But it's not even because they are on a mission to improve everything, you see, and they just don't stop thinking about it because they've now got this great goal in life, and it's not possible to point out to them that practically everything that they do and plan is based on their own witless lack of understanding, and that it's making everything worse. In other words, it's the desire to make it better that's important. Because we're going to really make it great. Yeah, but the journey, mate, everybody's going to die on it. It's just anyway, well, I'm repeating myself ad nauseum and making time fly even quicker. But anyway,
well,
the old tram systems worked, and there were tram. As much as I like buses, trams are easier to get people out of cars onto public transport because with a tram, it's got a line and it sticks to it. Whereas buses can go wherever they like, and I've witnessed it many times on our local routes here where drivers have just can't be asked to go into a certain village, for example, so they just skip it. You think, well, if you're on a tram, you couldn't do that. But also, I think the older trams, not so much the modern plastic crappy ones, but the old ones, the proper ones, like the old Blackpool trams, for example. It wasn't just about that the public transport system worked; it was also the sounds of them as well. So the sound of the motor as they accelerate from stop to stop, and the whole thing, the materials that the seats, which obviously you had the back on both sides, so they get to the end of the route, they just flick the seats.
That's it.
Back. You know what I mean? They're on a hinge, and then go back the other way. But the motors and the sound of the motors as well was probably healing, probably in the best description. And the same with trolleybuses. Trolleybuses, to be honest, I mean they keep raving on about all these new electric buses, but the electric buses that should be here are trolleybuses, and they worked. And they were
I remember
shit off a shovel, to be honest. Acceleration.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was a kid.
The whole.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Carry on. Sorry,
I was going to say that
I interrupted
just briefly. We were talking about the Routemaster, and when they were built, they were hand built. The panels were built, presumably handmade to fit each individual vehicle and fitted in place by an individual who gave a shit about what he was making.
Craftsman. Now,
the current electric vehicle that's going into London at the moment is a company called BYD. They do electric cars as well. And it's you see the sloppiness and the elements of partly because they're all plastic inside, so they all, as soon as they start hitting bumps and stuff, they start squeaking, and that becomes a problem. But also down to things like the position of the bells. You know, years ago you'd have them on a stanchion, from the roof down.
Yeah.
In these ones they're introducing now in Croydon, they've decided to put the bell below the window, which is exactly where your knee sits. So every time the bus goes around a corner, you ding the bell. And you think, well, what dickhead put that there? You know what I mean? How can we have got to 2026 and design them like that? It's just crazy.
Well,
there's no thought.
They used to have a cable, didn't they? They used to have a cable, and you just pull the cable, and it rings a bell, and that is simple. But what gets me, last time I went anywhere by bus, and I don't like public transport. I try and avoid it, but my car wasn't ULEZ compatible, so I thought, sod it, I'll go by bus. And it's like sitting in a box of vibrating spanners. You wondered if the bleeding thing was going to make it, it's creaking and moaning. And also, it was a day that, when was it now? About April, May, March, April time, when it was coldish and raining. Suddenly the sun came out. It's like sitting in a bleeding greenhouse. And you can't open the windows because there's these little tiny slits that you can open. It's horrible. I mean, why can't you have proper either air-conditioned buses or buses where you can open the bloody window and get some air? I mean, it's just...
Well, you probably could if we lived under a completely different sort of idea of how we're supposed to live, but currently we don't. On the thing with the trams and the buses, when they started, really bigging up getting more and more freight on the road and all this, that and the other, but with the public transport back in the 30s, when they were, I think it was the 30s, they began to phase out the electric trams. One of the obvious reasons, but one no doubt that was likely hidden from the public at the time, was that the cost of maintaining lorries and diesel engine buses and everything else was far higher than maintaining a tram. That meant that there's loads of business to be made and money or currency to be made.
That's right.
It's as if everything ultimately gets warped because people are going, I've got to keep on acquiring purchasing power. What's occurred is people are thinking, all of us, wrong about stuff. We don't see what we've got because we only see it if it can be turned into some purchasing power. So the whole system's it's a game, and it's a really crap one that denies you access to the actual stuff that we've got. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't bring all electric trams back. You go, we've built this thing, we've worked it all out. maintenance budget on its absolute pittance, mate. We only need 4 guys, and they're all called Bob in that shed, and they can look after sort of 50 trams or whatever. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, and each one's going to last 50 to 60 years the way we've designed it. It just needs to be refurbed about every 10 or 12 years due to bottom wear or whatever. Someone will know exactly what takes place, right? And you go, and we're going to save a fortune, but we don't save a fortune because somebody picks up that saving and it never ends up back with you. We don't have a stake, do we? We don't literally have share certificates in our own nation, and we ought to have them. I
agree with you. I agree with you, because then people are keen for things to work. But this sort of look at Beeching. Now, Beeching cut all our railways in 1962 or 63, and all the freight went by rail, so it kept the roads nice and clear. So what happened? He cut the railways, so you had loads and loads of bleeding great heavy lorries thundering through villages, shaking the foundations to pieces, houses that have been there since the year dot, and destroying and carving up our what was once beautiful countryside to build these bloody great roads to carry these huge juggernaut lorries when it could have all gone by rail. No, he cut them. He cut out all the rail, and to me that was the most ridiculous thing ever. Japan kept their railway system even though it wasn't making a profit, because they realised it's an integral part of their industrial.
But why does a thing have to make a profit, Eric? It's not. In fact, it only makes a profit in terms of what the bean counters say at the end, because everybody is involved in a game. And they don't even understand where the beans come from and the counters or anything. They just, all they know is we've got to make more than the other guy down the road, otherwise we're out of business. But, you know, why do you want to be in these? Half of the businesses that people do are just crap anyway. We don't even want them. You go, look, is the goal to actually solve a lot of drudge? Well, we keep doing that, but we can't solve it because as soon as you've solved it with a doodad or a car or a jet engine or something, some bugger comes along and goes, oh, right, well, we need to market this and we've got to charge for this and all that kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And, of course, then you sold all this lie about the economic miracle and this, that and the other.
It's bullshit.
We could blow it out of the water. It could all be done very rapidly, but it can't be done at all rapidly because there is a huge clutch of people who are never going to think like this. Like never.
I agree with you.
They can't think like this because it means their way of life. You remember that thing, what were we talking about the other night? That thing from Ants. Is it Ants? That one of those early CGI things where there are these ants and the grasshoppers. And all the grasshoppers are bombing it. They're basically, you know, bullying all the ants all the time. And one of the ants is getting a bit uppity and they all start laughing. And the leader of the locusts, played by Kevin Spacey, who turned out to be a kiddie fiddler or something, I suppose, didn't he? Or something he's involved in all this sort of... Yeah, he's something. You know, he turns to him and he said, if these... You know, he said, they outnumber us 10,000 to 1. And if they ever get the idea in their head that they don't need us, our way of life is over. That's what we're dealing with. The mentality of the people on the other side is, this is their way of life. Their way of life is to predate and parasitize off of us. And that's it, really, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, you know, and that's why we get frustrated. We go, look, why are you doing that? We could all have... If you want loads of stuff, we could have 1,000 times more if you just stopped interfering with it. So it's even more than that. They must know that they are on top and no one else can be. So it's...
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, what you were saying there, Chris, about when they removed all our railways and the freight was put onto the roads, that's been a theme throughout the existence of our railways as well. I mean, we had under British Rail, they had a system called Speedlink, which, if you look at American railways, their freight is a mix. You get a lot of container trains, stack trains they call them over there, which are basically shipping containers miles and miles along the lengths of them. But they also have what they call merchandise trains, which are it'd be again a mile-long train, but it'll be made up of different commodities for different customers, and that's effectively what Speedlink was. So you'd have, I don't know, you might have a train of 30 wagons, and you might have a couple containing like bricks, for example, a couple containing cider, a couple containing this, that, and the other, and they'd be dropped off at customers as the train progressed its journey throughout the route. And then, but because that was then competition to the road hauliers, and the government make a lot more money on the tax and the fuel and the drivers and all the rest of it. So one train would take off 30 trucks.
Hmm.
That's 30 lorries off the road which aren't making any tax for the government. So it's always the railways are always going to lose out no matter what they did. And so Speedlink was folded because Thatcher or whoever it was at the time said we don't like railways. And then under the privatisation network, we had EWS trying to do the same sort of thing, where they had their enterprise network, which was again a similar sort of process, and it flopped because the same process applies, that the government were getting money from all this fuel and all for the trucks, and as soon as they start putting on railways, they lose that revenue. So it's and since 2000, we've lost pretty much all of our freight yards. So there's no way to do any marshalling and even bring any competition back to against road. Not anymore. Our governments have basically dug up everything that we used to have.
We're being asset stripped. Effectively, all the things that have actually got real value are being destroyed. Everybody's been held in thrall by more currency or whatever, and the whole thing is just going to go right down the toilet because there's no substance. It's as if the foundation of the building had been chewed. Oh, we don't need that bit. We don't need that bit. Mate, it's going to fall over. Oh, I'll be all right. 50 years go by, it starts falling over. Oh, well, never mind. We'll build another one. We ain't got any bricks left. We'll move it around. No, you've destroyed all the transport system. It's by design. And I think also it attracts a kind of individual that takes a venal glee in destruction. There's an aspect, a quality to their sort of character, if you want to call it that. It isn't that really, because I associate that with a positive thing. But the way that they operate is that there's some people just like to burn things up.
Well, that's right. I mean, before the age of CAD, computer-aided design, we had to send working drawings down to from Hertfordshire to, I think it was Derriford in Devon, and they had to be there the next day. And we used Red Star. Now, Red Star was bloody brilliant. And what they did, they would pick these, and there were boxes and boxes of drawings, pick them up, and these were, they were done on a die line machine in those days, but I won't go into that. Pick these drawings up, go to the nearest railway station or railway, and it'd go through the rail network down to Derriford and be picked up down at Derriford and then taken to the offices there. And it was first class the way it worked, because you think about it, didn't go by road, and it was next day service, so it went overnight. And I don't think it works now. I don't think they've got it anymore. But that took cars off the road. I mean, it was a brilliant idea. There's a train going down there anyway, and I think they might have mixed it with passenger trains as well. I don't know. They had parcels, but what a bloody brilliant idea it was. But died a death.
Well, they used to have a section on the local trains here, our Class 150s and 156s. They had a section by one of the drivers' cabs where they could put the parcels in there, and they'd just lock that partition out, and then all the rest of the train was available for passenger use. That was. But the same thing applies with Royal Mail. Royal Mail have vacated the railways, and they bought 16 Class 325 electric multiple units specifically for parcels use, and they were brilliant things. And then Royal Mail said, we're coming away from railways now, we're going to go onto the road, and they've scrapped all 16 units. But they could have easily been moved over to somebody else like DHL or whoever, and said, we've got these 16 units, we could use them as express parcel units from London to Scotland. It's going to be far quicker than getting a HGV out to do the same thing. But there's again, like you were saying earlier, Paul, it's to stop progress. It's if it works, you don't need to fix something if it already works. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Yeah, it's wrong.
It is. And this is why it's always about perpetual economic growth, which is a disease. It's a disease. I mean, I don't know how tall you are. I suppose you hit 6'1" when you're 26, which is generally roughly around about that time when you stop getting much taller, right? People that come up to you when you're 32 are going, "Are you still 6'1"? You should have got bigger by now." It's bizarre. It's a bizarre idea. We must have economic growth. Well, if we must, it obviously means that whatever this thing is that you call the economy is obviously aberrated. If it requires this sort of insane level of growth, which is what it is, but of course it's a great cudgel. The whole thing, it provides them with a whole series of what appear at first blush to be rational reasons for why we're supposed to get off our backsides and do more stuff, right? Not that I'm not against that, by the way. I think productive work is a joy. It really is. I mean, unproductive work is an absolute pain in the backside, and this is no doubt why so many people who get involved in jobs just over broke, that's what a job is, just over broke, get ground down by it. Because ultimately, you go, actually, I've got quite a few adult years in front of me. If you're 20, you go, I've got 40 in front of me where I might be quite productive, maybe a bit longer than that, But you're unlikely to discover what you are, what your real aptitudes are, if you are signed up into some large corporation. Of course, they make out now, the story sold in films, this is great, I'm a big executive, we're doing big deals and all this, and it looks boring as hell to me. I always thought that. Yeah, I always thought businessmen were just the dullest fellows you ever met in your life. Now, I exclude people like, say, Henry Ford. I'm picking the cream of the crop here. But that's different. People have actually got something creative and positive to contribute. And it's not everyone. It's just, at the moment, it's not. Although everybody can be creative and contribute in their own space. Well, that's not a big deal. I think it is, actually. I think if you're doing things in a... You know those sorts of guys, a bit like you, Eric, really, who are repairing their house and prettifying it up and doing these things. And if everybody in a village does that sort of thing, when you go to that village, you feel it. You go, ooh, this is nice. What's nice about it then specifically? Well, all the people seem to be buoyant and productive. Yeah, they're satisfied. They go to bed sleeping well at night. They've had a good night's... they've worked hard and they go to bed and they go, I did a thing and this is good. And everybody likes to do a thing that works. We hate doing things that don't work. But that's part of the lessons, isn't it? Well, but what we've got is a system. I know I'm only saying the same thing, but that's really it. Yeah.
Pink Planet says, but each person must be responsible for their own life. I agree there.
Yeah.
Can't keep blaming government. Yes, we can, because only government. They're a pain in the arse. When they make dosh from their policies, such as HGV, these people need to be smarter than that. Well, yeah, but the thing is that they it's all to make money for the boys. That's all it is. For example, look at charities now. And I'm not talking about all charities. There are some very good small ones, but I'm talking about big boys. Most of that, they cream the money off and pay the directors a salary that looks like someone's phone number. I mean, and that is jobs for the boys, because the governments create the problems for the charities to solve. And have you ever known a charity to shut up shop because it solved the problem that it was originally set up to solve? I don't know of anyone. Do you? I don't.
They don't want to do that, though, do they? 'Cause, I've said before about the big C. A certain C in research.
Yes, I understand.
They're never going to beat that. They
don't want to.
They have no reason to beat it because you don't cut off the hand that feeds you. They're not going to come on telly and say one day, something, ladies and gentlemen, stop sending us your donations. We've solved it. They ain't going to do that. Yeah. If you're getting billions in donations from people who think that they're doing something to beat it, well, they'll still be doing that in 1,000 years' time. They'll still be getting donations and people running for doing these runs for life and stuff like that, and they'll still be asking for money. Oh, we still haven't beaten it yet. Okay, but then
it reinforces so many bad things, don't you think? It reinforces a lot of bad things. Like, some other group's going to sort that out for me. When did that ever happen? It might have happened once or twice, but rarely, right? They're going to sort it out. Oh, these people are going to cure that. Really? Are they? How long have they been at it? Are they really going to do that? And you end up becoming sort of, oh, I don't have to really look into that because there's this group over here that are dealing with it. So the whole thing sort of keeps everybody at a low level of energy. There's a kind of mild anxiety, and also you become dependent on good news from the charity or whatever it is. We've just had a breakthrough. Really? Yeah, we're very close to. How many years have we been hearing that?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, they can create mobile phones, which are a spectacular bit of technological advancement when you actually think about it. This little thing in your pocket, right? Even though we know it's all evil. But that aside, as a piece of technology. So when they want stuff to work, there's no shortage of money for that. It's like there's no shortage of money for warfare. There's not that. Right. There's no shortage of that. As long as it keeps you down and up, it's just,
Well,
anyway,
look at that.
We shouldn't be too surprised.
Look at that to what happens from about 2020 with the medical intervention. They soon come up with that, didn't they? I don't think. Yes, that had all been well planned, but people fell for it. But Exo says the last 3 Chinese takeaways I went to in my area all refuse debit card payments. Yes, the Chinese generally do. Very wise businessmen they are as well, and were cash only. They began this, I noticed, during lockdown. No VAT, Armageddon. Yes, yes, I agree with you. I've been to Chinatown and they do not take. I don't use debit. I try not to use debit cards, and they don't take debit cards in a lot of places in Chinatown. Now,
is there a lack of cats and dogs where Exo lives?
Was it? Do you remember that on the goodies?
Poodling black bean sauce.
When they had an advert for, was it the Stun? And they said there's 250 puppies to be won, and if we don't win, if nobody wins them, we'll give them all to a Chinese restaurant. during 2020. Now, Alice Gorgeous says, what a lovely name, Alice Gorgeous. During 2020, my middle child said, time is speeding up. I don't like it. I told her the Bible quote, if I did not shorten these days, no one would. So if I did not shorten these days, no one would survive.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's very apt, it seems.
There is definitely something to this, though, because I've said to you many times on here before, the amount of mechanical clocks that have been stopped. And
that was creepy,
proved
wasn't
it
it?
the other week with your radio clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, just 5 hours behind. And I said, no end times that the clock stand at the clock tower by where I go to the farm shop were 5 hours behind.
Yeah, and mine was weird.
Something is happening.
Yeah. Yes. There is something very, very weird, and some people believe, and we're going to be talking about this in a future show, that at CERN in Switzerland, they've opened up portals which are allowing nasty things into our world. Now, I don't know.
Well, I reckon it's
more
been
nasty
off.
things. I suspect there've already been nasty things here as well. Yeah.
And Pink Planet says charities are scam. Don't pay business studies either. Yes. Just look at the directors, how much they get paid. And I think it's generally, and again, not all charities, I've got to make that clear. It's rich people have kids that are completely useless at anything, and they sort of go to university. They get paid they pay for their qualifications, but they're too bleeding dumb to work anywhere. So they put them in a charity, and they screw that up on a huge salary. Yeah, but now where are we? There's certain words beginning with C. Carry on, mate. It's okay.
I was saying, I suspect if you dig down into most of these charities, you'll probably find there's a politician or some really rich individual at the other end of it. And like I was saying about the big C and research, that if they really want to beat such things, then why aren't they suggesting natural remedies like nettles and dandelions and the things we talk about on a regular basis? If they really gave a shit about it, that's what they'd be doing, but they don't. And same with doctors.
That's right.
Doctors never ask you what you go to the doctors. I haven't been to the doctors for years, but when you do go, they never ask you about your lifestyle and stuff like that. They just say, "Well, you've got a broken arm. Okay, we'll give you some pills for it."
You've got a boil on your bottom, sir.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
Yes,
it's called Kia.
Well,
and you're covered in warts. And let me get some cream for that.
And the frog turned around and said, "Yeah, it started off as a ball on my house."
I mean, it's not that they're all bad, is it? It's just that if you look at the way that we behave now in relation to fixing things, it's someone else is going to fix it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And that makes people continue to turn to the government. Seriously. Like on autopilot. They'll put it right.
Yeah.
And so the idea that they're the people actually making it all wrong is just absolutely, it's a very, very intimidating thought to a lot of people. That can't be right. Why would they do such a thing? They're looking after me. No, they say they're looking after you, and in a way they are looking after you, but not quite in the way that you think. You know.
Well, Mike Mantis says the star sign beginning with C is big business. They'll never find a cure. Too much money to be made. As with other big other pharmaceuticals. It's why they banned natural remedies, etc. Yes, you can look into that, and it was the Rockefellers that actually banned. Well, they didn't ban it; they actually starved funding of natural medicine, and only promoted oil-based medicines, which, of course, they were shareholders in oil. So there we go.
What I don't understand though, we've now got. I know you've got one of these in where you live as well, Chris.
Mhm.
We've now got a grape tree seems to be appearing in pretty much every town and on the high
Yeah, that's
streets and
right.
stuff. And
Yes.
obviously
Yes.
they do health remedies and stuff like that. But when you're away, it's hard not to be a bit suspicious of them and think, well, why are you there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's as though, are you
Uh,
there? Are you actually selling healthy stuff, or are you just there to pretend
well,
it's healthy and it's actually full of?
I've gone off of nuts now because I reckon if you get packed nuts, they can actually have a fungus on them, which is deadly. And nuts are not, unless you pick a nut off a tree, if it's been picked, it can pick up fungus. And it's really put me off of Brazil nuts and things like that. But what gets me is grape tree is right opposite Holland and Barrett, and I was told that they're part of Holland and Barrett. I don't know. Does anybody know that? But yes. But funny enough, talking about a precinct, that's where they are. They're in a precinct, a small precinct. They had one of these charities there. Was it Children with the Big C? And they had these what they call chuggers, and I was walking along, minding my own business, and a woman shouts out to me, "Do you want to help a child with the big C?" So that puts you under emotional blackmail, first of all. And I was very, very tempted to say to stop and say, "Yes, I want to help a child with that. Kick out their doctors, put them on a keto diet, find out what they eat, cut all sugar out of their diet, and I think they might improve." But I thought, no, I'd just be talking to a brick wall, basically. So I just carried on walking and just ignored her. But they put you under emotional blackmail. Do you notice that with charities? That's all it is. And also they position themselves in a place where you can't avoid them. But sorry, you're going to say, mate.
When I used to watch telly many years ago. I mean, going back 8 or 9 years, and you'd have at like tea time, you'd have charities for, I don't know, water aid for some child in Africa who's having to walk 4,000 miles to get some clean water. It's a bit like here, really, isn't it? Because you have to walk quite a distance to get clean water here and all.
Yeah.
But they'd ask you for £4 for that, and then the next one would be a donkey charity asking you for £5. You think, well, how is a donkey? Why is a donkey charity asking for £5 and this one's asking for 4? And then you had these ones with like the snow leopard. The snow leopards are getting very scarce. You can sponsor one for £10 a month, and it'll write to you. Well, it's a bloody clever snow leopard if it can send me a letter.
But I think, Paul, I mean, they are getting scarce because I tell you, I've never seen one actually.
Nor have I.
I haven't.
There you go. So they're right.
Well,
they're really scarce.
I know. I've never seen.
I've never seen one.
And I'll tell you something. I want.
How's it right?
People are claiming that their ancestors was enslaved and they want compensation. I want compensation from Italy because my ancestors were thrown to the lions. And if a lion walks into this room now, I crap myself. I've got a fear of lions because of that. So I want compensation. There we go. Why not? And but Mark Mantis says, I had packed nuts. Need a bigger size of underwear next time. And this is a classic.
Yeah, you must have rummage and you got it.
And that's right. He says, the big C killed my mate. He was walking past Curry's and the sign fell on him. Sorry. That's a classic.
We're so bad round here, aren't we? It's great. Isn't it good?
But no, I mean, what gets me though is that everything now is PR. Everything. How did we do? Now, I ordered something off of eBay. Okay. A bloke comes from, was it now? Some bleeding delivery firm. He starts with a, anyway, what he does, puts it on me puts it next to my front door and rings the bell and buggers off. So I open the door and you see his arse disappearing around the corner, you see. So, and it's got, how did we do? Was our delivery driver smart? I don't know. I only saw his arse disappear around the corner. I mean, why do they, with this obsession with how did we do? And the other one is do us. Yeah. He's going to say.
I get that with Royal Mail. Royal Mail, they'll deliver me a parcel, a model or whatever. And then next thing it will say, how do we do? And you think, well, you've delivered it. So you've done what you've been asked to do. I don't get on board a train and then when we get off at Wolverhampton, the driver comes and says, "Do you mind just filling out that and just tell me how you thought I drove the train?" But he didn't derail it, so that's going to be a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what the bleed now? I mean, you got to write a review. I actually bought 2 pieces of ply from Wix, okay? And I actually got an email after that says, write a review about ply. How do you write a review about ply? It's wood. It's a sheet material. I mean, it has this. I bought this piece of ply. It has one side, another side. It's about a couple of millimeters thick, and it's very good for making things. What else can you say about ply? I mean, come on. It's getting bonkers.
Maybe this is something the dog owners need to do when they take their dog for a walk and it's leaving a lump on the side of the path. Maybe they should carry a sheet with them and say something. Can you just fill that and see what you think of that?
How did it do?
Oh, you trod in it. How was it?
Well, I think I told you about that time I trod in a great pile. I used to, when I worked in Stevenage, I used to park because it got bleeding expensive to park in Stevenage. So I used to park on the in the what do you call it, just outside, and walk past the park to the office. You see. And I was walking, and one morning, I mean, I must have had a bad night that night, and I was just not with it. You know when you're on sort of like auto walk. I was walking along, thinking, and it's Monday morning, and it's a bloody cold winter's day, and this dog had done this bloody great pile of steaming muck, and I trod straight in it. One foot went silent, you see. And I was wearing moccasin shoes, so it all went into the stitching at the top, you see. So I was like, walking to the office. Then when I got, I don't know if anybody's been to Stevenage or seen Stevenage, but I think you have, Anurag, haven't you? And
I have indeed, and survived.
1960s sort of. Someone had a load of concrete and they didn't know what to do with it, so they built Stevenage, you see, and all this cement. And this like, I don't know how can I explain it. There's this place where pigeons like to nest. And there's pigeon shit everywhere. And of course, I slid with the other foot in the pigeon shit. So my day was really starting well. Of course, went into the office and people sitting there saying, bloody hell, they should want shit themselves. Poor Christ, because my shoe had been encrusted with dog shit. And so that lunchtime, I had to go out and buy myself a new pair of shoes and socks. And then I came back and I was washing my feet in the gents' toilets in the bowl there, and Paul, bloody hell, it actually crept right through the shoe into my socks. So I had a really nice day that day. But
just looking at that comment from Exo, they don't ask for feedback on British rail sandwiches. No, because there'd be no point to be like concrete.
Well, that's right. Do you remember they said they don't have to put a little sign on them saying what the sandwiches are because they're just curled up in the corners. And you see what was inside the sandwich. British rail sandwiches for the pits, weren't they? But they're not that much better now.
They used to use them to chuck. They used to use them to chuck the locomotives from rolling away.
Bleeding hell, yeah, I say. Do they still get trolley dollies?
I'm joking.
Do you still get trolley dollies though on trains?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they still roll down the aisles, teas, coffees, light refreshments, and you sit there and think, now, do I purchase a tea or a coffee, or do I go and buy myself a mansion? Because it'd probably be the same price.
Yeah.
Teas and coffees. It always reminds me of that line from National Express, that song. It's hard to get by when your arse is the size of a small country. Do you remember that?
It's National Express.
No.
National Express is fantastic. The lyrics are just brilliant. Although he's a bit bonkers because he supports the tranny movement. I think he's completely deranged now, but
Really?
which is very sad. Yeah, it's very disappointing, unfortunately. Some people sort of buckle in and go over, but it's just great. Serving delightful, expensive cups of tea and stuff like that. It's hard to get by when your arse is the size of a small country. That's lyric writing for you. It is hard to get by. So there we go.
But who uses National Express these days? I mean, they always end up at. They are well used, but I haven't been on them one for years. But the routing they take as well is strange. I was down in Bath many years ago, and I did it by National Express there and back. And going there was logical. I was routed into Birmingham, then Birmingham, Bristol, logical. But coming back, I was routed from Bath to Heathrow Airport, and then Heathrow Airport back to Birmingham, which seems a very strange route.
I mean, what's National Express like? But I think they've got toilets on board, haven't they, or something? I don't know. Is it posh? Is it nice?
Yeah, posh. I think so. The modern coaches have. I'm not sure how they get on if they go down the electric coach route, though, because they do kick people off after 8 hours and say, right, can you go and stand it and can you go and make yourselves busy for 8 hours while we charge the coach up? I can't see that working for them. If you're traveling somewhere like Aberdeen to London, for example, you can have 8 hours in Blackpool or Newcastle.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, all this electricity crap, it is crap. What they're not talking about is how that's going to, the electromagnetic radiation, how that's going to affect your cells in your body. Because there is a theory that every time they change frequencies of radio things, I mean, has anybody seen Dr. Tom Cowan? Heard of him? Dr. Tom Cowan? COW, I think it's AN or EN, one or two. He had it's actually a plug. It's on my Telegram channel. It might be on yours, Paul, as well.
Right. Okay.
And and I apologise in advance if I've misinterpreted what he said, but he said that what's happening is it's unnatural, these radio signals that are passing through the ether. And our cells are being bombarded by these radio signals. And this is why you get colds and flus and things like what happened during the lockdown, is because they came out with 5G. And he said he's got all the evidence there. Now, if that's happening, what's happening inside electric vehicles with all that ether of electromagnets? It's all electromagnetic inside. I think it's awful, absolutely dreadful. This is why I'm going to resist as long as possible. But soon they're going to force you to have an electric car. But I'm going to resist it. And
the fact that, I suppose with an electric car, the batteries presumably are at the front. I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, right under the floor.
If you're on a bus, they're under the floor.
Yeah.
So on electric buses, obviously they're in the compartment where the engine would have been sat. So if you sat towards the back, you're obviously being microwaved for however long you're on board that vehicle.
Well, my new electric bike, I've got the batteries between my legs. Yeah. Oh, hello, dear. So my naughty bit.
Also, I know you don't use public transport. I know you don't use public transport much, but even down to the USB chargers that are now on board trains and buses, they're always positioned either between the seats, which is very close to the important areas, or on the backs of some of the buses. It's on the backs of the seats in the headrests.
That's right.
Which is right by the individual that's sat in front of you, by their brain, which is.
I know.
It's not needed. I mean, if people can't charge their phone and just take it out of them and not need, I don't know.
But why?
Well, I suppose people are on their phones all day and every day, aren't they?
But buses never used to be as rattly as they are now. I remember getting on the old Route Masters; they never rattled at all. Just went along the road. But buses now are rattling like buggery. It's dreadful. It's that load of crap.
Well, we were talking about the windows on board them as well. Do you remember the old Leyland Nationals? I don't know if you are.
I don't know.
Where they used to have the sliding opening windows rather than actually a hopper window, which stops a lot of the air coming in. They had sliding windows, which were very handy for sort of throwing an apple core out into somebody's car who you didn't like.
Yeah.
But also, they also produce a good breeze down the vehicle, whereas the hopper windows seem to prevent that coming in.
Yeah. Another one I don't like is, now, my cars have both got electric windows in them. Why can't we have manual override? Because the amount of times I want to open the window a bit, but I've got to switch the bloody ignition on to open the window. And if that electric motor goes wrong, which happened with my smart car, you're buggered. Your window goes down, you can't put it up, which is absolutely ridiculous. Well, again, all very nice, but what's wrong with winding a window down and winding it up? I used to do that, you know.
And again, with condensation in the winter, where sometimes people wind the window down to clear the condensation off the window, and that's naturally going to go down into where the motor is, which isn't probably the best combination, I suspect.
Well, that's
or
right.
It rusts your car from the inside out.
Yes, that's right. Well, Alice Gorgeous, going back to the Divox C, as we're talking about, what happened, over the last couple of years, mirror the symptoms, she said, of microwave radiation. I think that's what Dr. Tom Cohen's on about. Worth looking at. Plug. As I say, either on Paul or my Telegram channel. There is Dr. Tom Cohen there, and
just a quick thought.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's been information about that CERN has been stopped.
Yeah.
At the moment, and has anybody else noticed the head pressure seems to have disappeared off?
Well, I keep feeling
the head
tired.
pressure was there previously, it seems to have gone.
Well, I don't know, Paul. You're a similar age to me. Do you find you're not off to sleep in the afternoons now? Because I never used to, but now.
No, I don't nod off. No,
oh, I do. You lucky sod. Yeah, I mean,
no, I'm out there just wrestling and doing things and running around shouting at people. I don't do that all. I find that I keep waking up about 5 o'clock though.
Oh, I wake up every morning at 5. Yeah,
I just want to get out of bed. Really, now I'm just getting bored. But it's still a bit. My body's not used to actually just having sort of 7 hours of sleep. It has to have a bit more of that. But I keep thinking the older I'm getting, I notice I'm sleeping less, which I don't mind, because you just sat there doing nothing, aren't you? It's pretty important stuff, though.
That's right. Yes, but where do you go when you sleep? That's the thing, because you get some very weird dreams. I get some weird dreams. I don't know. I don't eat cheese because my uncle, when he ate cheese, he had some very weird dreams.
Oh, weird, cheese is great. Yeah, cheese. Cheese dreams.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Cheesy dreams.
Yeah, cheese is good for dreams. If you want to have,
yeah.
It's amazing what you can do in a dream. It's very, very good.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. I remember I had one. This is completely. We're meandering, aren't we? I've got no focus tonight. It's too warm. My brain's all squishy. I remember having a dream. You know when you have dreams and you go flying, right?
Yes.
Well, I did, but not sort of like in a zoomy, exhilarating kind of way. It was really strange. I was sort of like at a party or something, and I decided I wanted to get across to the other side of the room. So I just leant forward, and I kept leaning forward really slowly, so that my face, I was not under any pressure, my face was about a foot off the floor. And then I'm just floating in midair about a foot off the floor.
I've done that, yes. Yes.
And I said, excuse me, and I'm just moving. It was so strange. Through all these people, really slowly, which made it spectacular. It wasn't fast or exhilarating. I'm just moving slowly across the floor to get over to the buffet counter or something like that. I remember in the dream quite enjoying it and thinking, I wonder if I could really do that in real life, because it would be so freakily brilliant. I'd love it. Oh, look, there's Paul again, floating over the rug. It was nice. I quite like that. Sorry, I don't know what that says about me. Not much, I hope. Good grief. Dream analysis will be out there. But yeah, that was quite nice, that. But I don't dream enough. I get quite cross about it, actually.
Now,
I don't always remember my dreams, I must be honest. Sometimes I do, and they're vivid. But also, have you ever had dreams where, mine's train related, so I do apologise, but where a certain locomotive's appeared in a dream, like a certain number, and then I've gone out on a Saturday and I've seen that locomotive, and you think, that's weird. It's randomly turned up, and maybe our dreams control reality around us. But what I was saying about that with CERN was, what if the and this might be a bit controversial, what if the 5G towers weren't actually causing the head pressure in the first place? It was actually CERN that was affecting us, and these 5G towers were just there as a smokescreen.
It could be, but Blu-ray's come up with something very interesting here. I had head pressure yesterday, but we had about 13 flares from the sun and 1 times class. I don't know what and 1 time. So that could be something to do with solar flares.
Oh, X class.
X class, sorry. 1
Could
X
be.
class.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks for that, mate. Sorry, I didn't realise that. But Blu-ray says cheese can also give you nightmares. That's what used to do with my uncle. He used to give him nightmares. He almost throttled me auntie. Seriously. She woke up and his hands were around her neck. And she'd wake up. And yeah, so that can actually happen, you know.
Well, did you see that on the news the other day about that photographer that was killed by a roll of cheddar?
No.
Apparently the people he was photographing did try to warn him.
I'm a bit slow.
Cheese.
I'm even slower than you, Eric. My brain's all squishy.
Yes.
I need some gin. Unfortunately, I haven't got any in the house.
It'll probably, the putty will drop tomorrow morning.
Are you staying up to watch the football at 1 o'clock? Are you going out to the pub?
No.
You must be joking.
Of course I am.
I've got some paint.
I'm all ready. I've got my Mexican hat. I'm going out there. I'm taking lots of firecrackers and a bandana. What's going? I heard that the pubs have been allowed to stay up until 5 in the morning or something. I mean, does this really matter? It's. I wish it did matter. I mean, I wish it was something that I was actually sort of pointlessly enthusiastic about. But it's just, it's horrid. The whole thing is just tragically.
It is.
This is what happens when commies get involved with everything. Everything just turns to dog shit. It's just, they literally don't know. They don't know that they've got absolutely no class. They're without any interesting or redeeming features whatsoever. Permanently serious about everything, which is extremely worrying. It's not even that they've had a humour bypass, Eric. It's that they don't even know what it is. Starmer is just, has been the atypical, bot man. He's like a bot.
Well, no,
he can't care about him. It's not possible.
He looks as if, that's right. I mean, he looks as if, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there, but he looks as if he's had a brain transplant that rejected him, hasn't he, really? Yeah. But now, Mark Anthony, we've got to fill him in here. Mark Anthony, even though a bit late, what have I missed? You missed Aunt Sally filming herself getting out of the bath. What else?
I missed that too. That's a pity.
Yes, a pity, isn't it?
Oh, we had a lottery win of £1 million on here, but you had to be on here sort of
that's it. And
about an hour ago.
That's right. And your name had to begin with M. So I don't know quite what happened there. And so that's it. But that's about all. He said he didn't miss much. And Exo says Rumble is getting crap for not keeping up with the live feed. Give it a kick up the arse, But
go listen on FFT radio and use the Rumble chat. Look at me being a terrible salesman, but I am. Actually, a quick shout out that Exo wrote that the sound on FFT, of course, is sparklingly good.
Yes.
Because we've got sound processing, we've got audio processing running on the feed. I'm not just a pretty face, even though, of course, you don't know how hideous my face really is, but I'm not. So, no, it's good. Well, I like comments like that. Yeah.
You see, people don't know how hideous my face is because I've got a mask on, as you can see. No, I'm joking.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, nah.
It looks a lot like the one on the wanted poster outside Aldi.
But Alice Gorgeous says the Muzzies won't like that pub thing. No, I don't think they're into drink, are they? I don't know.
Well, they need to go home then, don't they, Alice?
Main sports.
They need to go home.
They're all
Yeah. But I mean,
basically, people are giving their energy to demonic, satanic worship. Basically, I suppose it says quite a lot about people who watch football. And no offense to anyone who does, but I mean, the footballers themselves are showing who they worship with all the symbolism they do every time they score a goal. And the fact is that if you didn't know football existed, you went to your mates at work or whatever and said, this weekend I'm going to go and watch 22 men run around a field, they'd think you're a bit odd. but it seems that that's the norm, but they're all satanic. It's all satanic rituals, and the numbers involved are, and it's not just football.
Yeah.
It's I've said before about like golf is 18 holes on a golf course, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6. The highest score with 3 darts is 180, which is 60 plus 60 plus 60. The snooker world championship is the best of 36, which is 18. There's 3 666s.
But did you know that before the Industrial Revolution, football wasn't, people didn't play it. People just got on with their lives, and it was only sport that was introduced during the Industrial Revolution to stop people revolting, becoming, thinking of rising up against the government. So what do? They introduce sport, and it's the same as the Colosseum, as bread and circuses. And it's the same with football. So there's nothing new, because people will start thinking, what the bleeding hell's going on, Why am I working, slogging at this factory day in and day out, for what? So that was it,
Come on, Mexico.
And of course, the ball in football.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know what's actually more. Do you actually see? Not that I can't listen to this stuff, but they have these panels of people droning on about a football match. It's just, it used to be a simple, short, sharp, vigorous, jolly sort of thing in the past.
Yeah.
Now it's bloatware. Oh, why am I even talking about it? I think what it is a part of me actually is sad that it's not what it used to be, and I can't get over it, really. Every now and again, I keep catching it out the corner of my eye, and I think I'm back watching the World Cup in 1970 in Mexico with my dad, and I just get this wonderful feeling come over me about how exhilarating it all was back then. And then I go, you sad git. That's a long time ago, It's like 50-odd years ago. It's ridiculous. It doesn't seem like 50-odd years ago. And I remember old people talking, it only seems like yesterday, doesn't it? And that's what it does. Everything sort of compresses up. And when you see people that have been around a bit, like you and me, Eric, knocking around.
Well, you're knocking on a bit, yeah.
Not ancient, but sort of well past the halfway mark, realistically. You think, there's not a lot going on. But actually, all you are is you're still sort of a young idiot, but you've just been around being an idiot for a lot longer. That's all it is. So it's... Anyway, I'm not ready. We can move on to something far more interesting and edifying, because it's a very silly topic.
Well, it is, as I say, it's when you look at it, history, this is why I say time going backwards. The only thing that's improved is communication. We can communicate. Let's face it, 30 years ago, this would have been impossible what we're doing tonight. Things like that have improved in technology, but I've noticed something a bit weird. I'm getting a better signal now with my router. Have you noticed that? I've got I haven't got a cable router. I've got a SIM router, and bloody incredible. Now I don't know what's happened. The signal was bad a couple of days ago, and now it's absolutely. It's through the roof almost. So I don't know what's happened. Whether they
it's probably weather conditions. It's probably atmospheric conditions.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. Sorry, carry on, mate.
So I suppose the technology, sometimes it is actually quite handy. Obviously, this technology we're using at the moment has brought us together, and a lot of the people in the audience together, and obviously it's a little family we've got here.
Yeah.
But I think some things I'd probably go back to the old ways, and I know the phones are quite handy and they are convenient, but they certainly stop people talking and having a chat, and just generally
art of letter writing.
And
that's right. I agree with you. The art of letter writing is really gone. But back to what we were talking about with trains. I used to have trains that was it the old GPO and post office, and there were sorting vans where they would be sorting the mail as it's going along. One of those mail vans was involved in the Great Train Robbery, wasn't it? But
sorry, Chris.
Well, no, they don't have humans now sorting it. I don't think so. I think it's all done by computer now, isn't it? A special.
It's all done. They don't send it by train anymore.
No.
But there's Royal Mail spent absolute millions and millions on 3 or 4 major Royal Mail terminals. There's one at Willesden, one at Stafford, one at Crewe, No, sorry, one at Stafford, one at Warrington, and one in Glasgow. And there's one at Doncaster, the mail terminal at Doncaster, which were built specifically for the sorting of mail by train. So they bring the trains in and all the rest of it. And then EWS bought 30 Class 67 locomotives to haul the mail. And as the Class 67s arrived on our shores, Royal Mail said we're not using trains anymore. So these locos were basically redundant before they even got here.
It's just complete waste. But I mean, Exo says it's 5G tastic, mate. I think it is 5G tastic. Here it is. And now, and then the other one is this is very controversial. Blu-ray says, I find too that men that follow football tend not to respect women and see them as lower.
There might be something in that.
And Blu-ray says, I am a woman, not a man. Well, there are football widows, aren't there? That women that sort of never see their husbands because they're busy looking at football. But to me, it's never really interested me, sport, generally. Now, Exo says, it's be good to compare a train carriage shot from 1980 to one today and see where passengers were looking. Yes, that's an interesting one. And he went on to say, guaranteed 90% will be looking at a gadget. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, they used to have their nose in newspapers.
If they took the windows out,
the
windows out of modern trains, I reckon a lot of people wouldn't even notice. They get on and get off and wouldn't even. But then, of course, the flip side is that people rely so heavily on the technology that they can't see what's around. So I remember coming out of Wolverhampton one day on a unit coming back towards Telford, and the GPS had gone wrong on the automatic next station announcement, and we'd literally just left Wolverhampton, and it said approaching Wellington. And this woman came walking down the platform station, down the train, and oh, have we passed Telford? I thought, have you looked out the window? We're still in Wolverhampton. People so rely on this rather than what they actually physically see around them. It's as though people have lost they're so reliant on it that they can't think for themselves, I suppose, is probably the best description.
Now, this is an interesting one. Mark Anthony has said, I heard a statistic the other day saying domestic violence has gone up 50% since the start of the World Cup.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder why.
Because people who follow football are demonically. They're having their energy taken away by this demonic, satanic ritual, which is what it is.
Do you remember
the reason why Man United are called the Red Devils?
Well, do you remember that time, I think it must have been in the 80s or 90s, when people would say, I was watching a fight and a football match broke out? Because they used to have punch-ups on the actual pitch, didn't they? Do you remember that? Not too long ago. And the other one was when all the blokes started kissing each other when they scored a goal. Do you remember that? That's another one.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't get that either.
Yeah. And I remember Monty Python's Gob of the Week, where he's saying, and here he comes now. He's coming onto the pitch. He's rolling it round his mouth. And out it comes. Because you always used to see as football was spitting. So that a competition flop of the week. And there he comes. Oh, yes, he's in a bad cold this week. And he's in a bit of a bad catarrh. And here it goes round the mouth. And out it comes. That's lovely. Lovely shot, you know.
That reminds me of the Smith and Jones sketch about the darts.
That's a classic.
Well, they were playing darts, and one of them he's drunk loads. He downs a pint and he pisses it straight back out. And the commentator says, "Oh, it's gone in. Oh, it's come straight back out again."
It's a bit like I was having Miles's Udo oil. Now, I hasten to add, Miles does not produce the Udo oil. It's something he buys. It comes from Canada. And it's extremely good. It's for vitamin, when was it now? Vitamin B, I think it is. And it has a twang to it that I can't stand. It really is awful. One morning I thought, don't be a sissy, you know, let's drink it down. So I got this Udo's oil, put it down my throat. It went down about matter of seconds, whoop, up it came again. It's just like Smith and Jones and the darts, you know. Now, we got Nathan and Barefoot Foreigner on, and where was it now? What's this? TLBNAWKI says it's not football, it's alcohol, and Barefoot Foreigner says agree. It's not just increased. Agree. It's just increased alcohol consumption. And Nathan Lucius has said things have improved since 1914. Sewage, water supply, food refrigeration, central heating, air conditioning, transport, not a fan of long horse journeys, cooking and food processing, lighting. Yes, I agree with you there. But what about human to human contact? And are people more relaxed? Seriously. Earlier today, by the way, Nathan, I don't know if you want me to mention this, has done a fantastic walk for charity, mate.
For charity?
For charity, yeah.
That's right.
I'm not sure how many miles. He'll probably shove it. I'll say, I think was it 14 or 19 miles? He'll correct me. He's probably getting steamed up now. Saying, little sod. No, it isn't. It's more than that. And he had a cross on his shoulder and he did it for charity. And I was saying, you think about it. I mean, he was completely knackered afterwards, but our ancestors fought a battle up north, then ran or walked at a very fast pace down to Hastings and fought another battle in 1066. Tough bastards, weren't they, when you come to think about it?
They were a bit.
Yeah,
they were.
Going back to Nathan's comment there, though, but has it? I mean, air conditioning probably is quite handy, but then when I was off the week before last, I was traveling down in London, and by far of all the trains I travelled on was one with opening windows.
Yeah.
And every time the train moved, it was just so refreshing to be on board.
Yeah.
And the same with the lighting. I wouldn't say street lighting is better now. I would say that when we had the old orange tungsten lighting, that lit up your street. But these LED lights,
crap!
It's hard to explain how the lighting works, but it's not light. It doesn't actually reach the ground. It's just, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we have improved.
Well, I had a Morris 1000 Traveller, which was we called it a Moggy, which was my first car, and it's still on the road. I've looked up the registration number. It's still on the road, and so I'm glad of that. And they used to have like a quarter light window. Do you remember that, Paul? And you turn a quarter light window round in the hot summer, and you get this fantastic blast of air, better than opening the window generally, into your face. And it really was good. Mind you, the occasional fly would hit you in the eye and things like that. But apart from that, it was really good. And it was, nice and cool. And Exo says sodium anorak, not tungsten.
That's the one, yeah.
Yes. We've got LEDs around where I live, and they're horrible. But Mark Anthony said, what about these modern day Nancy footballers, like kissing and cuddling after scoring a goal? Do they still do it? Whatever happened to a brisk handshake? Yeah, I didn't know that. Do they still kiss and cuddle each other when they score a goal? Paul, do they do that?
I don't think they do it as much as they used to do. They sort of they've evolved their celebrations. I think that's what they're called. Their celebrations are evolved or whatever. And there are sometimes bits of astonishing skill, but it's such a astonishing skill. What am I talking about? I don't know what the future of it is. I just think it came from a place where it was. Look, I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made that all of the onslaught of all the great sort of sports which happened from the mid 1800s onwards, right? The Formula were to provide a sort of a pressure valve for the working classes, because they were all being worked to death, or something like that. They're in cities, they've been brought off the land, and they needed some sort of an outlet. And so it became a very passionate sort of thing. I mean, it's a bit strange in a way, but it's also a lot of fun. If you're not so completely cynical about it, it had a lot of good things about it as well. You know, you can find meaning and sort of value and happiness in all sorts of silly things. It's not about how much it cost or anything like that. So I think it used to mean something. That's a thought, but it used to be of cultural relevance. It's a bit like the village team. And so this is a tiny little town, I guess. There's about 120,000 people live here. It's got a couple of football teams. And I've never been along to see one, but I might go, not because I'm bothered about watching a football match or anything like that. It's just to hang out and see what the local people are like, you know, because you get a good sense of what they're like. And you do live with them. And, of course, as you get older, you kind of don't want to live with people. You become more of a curmudgeon, don't you? Because you get more picky. You just get more picky. But when you're young and you don't know anything, you want to be exposed to people to find out, you know, what's good, what's not so good, and sort of, you know, keep polishing up your nous and all that kind of stuff. So, and apart from which, some of the banter, some of the English wit and sarcasm on English football terraces is world class. I mean, I don't know. It really is. I mean, I just think it's absolutely amazing. It's where there really is complete freedom of speech in a football ground. No one can tell anybody off because there's 10,000 of them, right? That's what I mean about numbers. Have you heard some of the songs that they sing?
No.
They're just absolutely,
really?
They're beyond vulgar. Oh, they're just hilarious. Yeah, they're like someone's obviously writing the lyrics to these things, and it catches on after a few weeks. They're all singing these songs.
They're singing about Keir Starmer, weren't they? About him being Paul Anka.
They're about incest in the players and all the other stuff. About your mother and stuff like that. They're really completely beyond the pale, and because of it, because they're so verboten, they're hilarious. They're really funny. And you go, there's the English. Yeah, I think it's a rich space. And I remember back in the 1980s when Viz was out, you know, Viz comic,
my favourite magazine.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I mean, that's really, you know, full on. I mean, it's a bit like that sort of stuff. But there also used to be, it was the arrival of fanzines about football, about English football, and there was one called When Saturday Comes, because Saturday's the day that all the matches are played, right? It was really quite a brilliant read. Not only was it yobbish in parts, it was also people doing sort of, you know, really genuine football fans, but really aware of the societal and cultural nature of the whole thing. So you got some quite relatively highbrow articles in there, but all shot through with a completely sarcastic English sense of humour. It was hilarious. It's absolutely bloody hilarious. I used to love reading that, and it came out every couple of weeks. And that was the heyday of those sorts of things. And of course, Tinternet's come along, and people, maybe it still happens, but it's more difficult to find. That's right. You know?
But
news agents expose you to stuff. You know,
I think the underground press will be coming back, because the more they try and censor the internet, then people are going to go to the underground press. You always find a way of getting truth over. But Nathan Lucius, I think, has got the wrong end of the stick here. Personal,
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, I think he definitely is, because what we're saying is we're talking about things like architecture. We're not talking about, yes, there's been some marvellous things, marvellous advantages like high personal hygiene, I agree. Warm baths, instant showers, flushing toilets, yes, I agree. Electric light bulbs. We're talking about general things such as architecture, fashion styles, and music, because we reached a peak in architecture, I think, up to about 1914 with Art Nouveau, and then it just went straight off the cliff and crap. And we're talking about that. We're not talking about other things so Nathan, I think you got the wrong end of the stick. I don't wish to sound rude, but I think so. Yeah, sorry, mate. You're going to say.
But going on what he's saying there, that personal hygiene, I guess, has always been a personal thing anyway. So we didn't. I suppose that isn't something that progresses over years. It's
what is personal hygiene?
You either look after yourself or you don't.
What is that?
I don't know who she is. I've heard of her. I say hygiene all the time, but I've no idea who she is.
Yeah.
I mean, warm baths, yes, we probably do. But then we know the water that goes into that bath or shower is basically full of toxins. So I'm not sure that's really that good for our health, to be honest. I wouldn't say it's any better than. I'd say a lot of things.
But again, Nathan's
on a par and
done another list of things that are marvellous: cordless phones, personal printers. Yes, but we're not talking about that. I think you got the wrong end of the stick. We're talking about things that make our lives, shall we say, visually better. I.e., you look at the architecture before 1914. That was better, far superior. Look at male and female, where female. Sorry.
I guess the question back to Nathan is along the lines of, we're the only species that need all these things. A chimpanzee doesn't need it. A gorilla doesn't need it. A lion doesn't need any of this stuff. It's just us.
Yeah.
Do we need them?
And we're the only ones that need tools to catch our food. We can't hunt unless we've got tools.
Yeah, exactly.
That is the thing. But really, no, what I'm talking about is I suppose, moral things, the way things have changed, where things were are very temporary now, where they never used to be. But you look at any new town, just look at it. Lack of trees, bland buildings, blandness. This is what we're talking about. Yes, what you've listed there are excellent. Now, I agree with you. Those have improved. But we've gone backwards in other senses, in other ways. The Victorians made beautiful objects and knew how to mass produce them. Why couldn't we have kept that on? Wouldn't it be a better world? And the Victorians used a technique that we don't understand today. That's been lost, But anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. So if you want to come back, Nathan, it's entirely up to you.
Well, if I had the choice of, if we had a way of going back, I mean, I would choose, like the locomotive an hour in my little roundel thing there. I'd choose that on 5 coaches over modern trains that have got so many sensors on it. This guard I was talking to yesterday on the train coming back up from Northampton, he was talking to me about the modern trains, that the ones that West Midlands Railway are using, the diesel ones, the Class 196s, have got a little sensor on the cab window, and if that's slightly open too far, it basically cancels the entire train. The train has to be taken back to a depot to be reset.
Oh my
It's a
God.
cab window. It's a drop light, basically. I'm not sure that's an improvement on the previous generations of units we've had.
I mean, I think
the years.
sort of like the underlying, or one of the underlying reasons for all of this, and it's not just in this area, is to do with this apparent clarion call of economic efficiency and all this kind of stuff, and it's leading to a sterile living environment. The environment that we live in is not as joyful and as interesting and as quirky and as human as it used to be, because it's been replaced by sort of calculating people. Everything's about calculations. And like we were saying earlier, all of this supposed improved economic efficiency does not come to you. I heard something the other day that apparently the standard of living in this country, not that it's ever been an obsession of mine, I've no idea, I don't really need much. I've kind of trained myself to be very low rent, very low maintenance individual, but it's dropped apparently 23% since 2020 in terms of your real purchasing power and stuff like that, what you can actually get with whatever purchasing power they leave you with. The whole system now, and people keep going along with it because at some point it's going to improve, right? That's a kind of an underlying text. It's going to turn it round. What do we do to turn it round? But the whole system itself can't be turned round. It's the very system itself that we live in is a game, and people think it's serious. Well, it is serious. The consequences are absolutely serious. They're really harming people in so many ways. But if you look, every single area that you look at, it's not working as your heart wants it to work. The families are struggling by design. They can't operate like they used to. We've mentioned this loads of times, but we shouldn't stop mentioning it. Back in the 60s, the father went out to work and the mother raised the children, and they didn't have credit cards and they didn't have overdrafts at the bank, and they had to be careful with their money. They didn't think, of course, that they were being careful with their money. It was just a natural discipline that came with that situation.
Oh, yeah.
People didn't go, oh, I'm panicking about it. No, they just worked it out and dealt with it. It wasn't a big sort of anxiety. It was if you weren't getting paid much. And, of course, generally people were always paid just enough to keep them ticking over and come back to the job on Monday morning. That's what a job is, right? Just over broke, all that kind of stuff.
That's a good one, just over broke. Yeah, that's true.
That's what it means. And
really?
And yet I would say that although they didn't have a lot of the doodads that we've got now, something in terms of the human, the really good parts about being alive, like having a sense of being part of your family, your extended family. These things don't exist to the same degree that they used to. Your street, your next door neighbors, the connectivity that you had quite naturally, because no one was on their phones because they didn't exist and all that. And I'm not blaming the phone. I'm just saying it's all this stuff has happened, which has created a kind of sterile, highly efficient dead space. We're like units in this dead space, aren't we, moving around? And people are going, what's the point of doing all this? Oh, it's for more efficiency. Yeah, but it's not making me happy, mate. I'm not happy.
Well,
don't you get it? It's this, oh, well, we don't include happiness. It's not in the equation. Well, what's the point of being alive then? Really, that's what's happening with people. That's why you get demoralized. Is this it? Am I just another cog? Oh, of course, in this system you are, unfortunately. At the moment, that's what's happened. But, and I think this is why adventure stories appeal to young boys quite naturally. I want to go off and I want to, get lost in a jungle or do something or discover a lost civilization. I know I'm talking out my bum, but they've got a pull, don't they, those stories? They have a sort of, I don't want to spend too much time in this world. Why? Because it's boring. It's really, really boring. It's not interesting enough. And you could say, boredom is to a bored mind or something, that kind of gist. Everything's dull to a dull mind. But there is some aspects of it that are just, it's not enough fun. And really, I guess the antidote, as you say repeatedly, Eric, and which I've always agreed with, and of course I've operated like that anyway most of my life, is that you must have a bloody good laugh. And I think this is one of the reasons why... If the English do have a sense of humour, it is the way that it is. It's extremely sarcastic. It's scathing. And if your mates take a dig at you because they like you, if you're not actually being ribbed, you kind of people are indifferent to your
Spot on.
existence.
And I'll tell you something, they destroyed the family unit. Now, I remember when my comedian uncles used to drop in and you'd be in pain with laughter. You'd just be laughing your head off all the time. Good, hearty laugh. I miss that. And Alice Gorgeous says, football is also very gay. They all get in the bath together. And this is what got me when I was at school. Now, I was brought up to, you didn't show your bits to people. You got in the bath and you were very sort of Victorian. I had a very Victorian background. No, I'm not that old. My parents had a Victorian sort of attitude. And when I went to school, they had this thing about when you played rugby, you were not allowed to wear underpants. Why, I do not know. So on a freezing cold January morning, you were there with these little tiny shorts on and a T-shirt, getting hypothermia.
And your little tiny family jewels.
I mean, well, they were very frozen. Yeah, they were very tiny. And then you all had to get in the bath together afterwards, which I didn't like. I thought there was something a bit, not quite right about it. And I think that the sportsmaster was a bit, shall we say, a bit pedio. Seriously, because other times we had to all strip off, run through the shower as fast as possible, and if we didn't run fast enough, he'd stand at the other end with a what do you call it? Table tennis.
Baseball bat?
No, table tennis.
You can cope with those. You can cope with those sorts of situations. Just that when they first start happening, they're extremely uncomfortable, and you're kind of doing, what the bloody hell, right? I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, it's how you break people down as well. If you want to really break people down in a crowd, you just get them to take all their clothes off and start shouting at them. People get very worried. You would. Anybody would. You go, right? That's what they do. If you don't, because you're going into those showers or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, reducing you down to a number in the system.
That's
to
right.
Make you uniform. Right. And there are times when that's appropriate, but at school's probably not one of them, although they've designed it along a sort of military training exercise. And for military reasons, I would want to be part of something like that if my life depended on it. Probably would, I think. Not that I want to be in that situation, not that they should even exist, but unfortunately they do exist, those situations. And so you have to sort of go, oh, right, crap, I've got to deal with this kind of stuff. So you end up, we're more flexible than we think, but it's just that the overall direction's it's not crap, doesn't even come anywhere close. It's by design.
Yeah.
It's taking a lot of just the natural fun. I just notice it in myself. I am very serious-minded about these things, but you can't help it because we're in a serious situation. It seems inappropriate to just get hysterical all the time. Oh, we're all going to die. Well, we are all going to die, but it's just sort of like, how do you want to live your life before that moment?
Precisely.
And make it fruitful.
I mean, Nathan, I agree with him. There's a lot of very good things that have happened. I agree. We've got running water. We turn a tap and water comes out of it, and it's hot, and it's things like that. And you have a shower, and all these marvelous things. I agree there. But what we're talking about is time going backwards with less quality in certain things that we need quality in. The quality of music is not like, we reached a peak of music. You listen to what is in the hit parade now. It's crap, absolute crap, bland nothingness. And someone pulled up next to me at the traffic lights the other day, and all you could hear was boom-da, 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 boom. Why? I mean, he had his car radio on, or his stereo, whatever it was he had in his car, at thermonuclear volume. It was actually vibrating through my car. I was sitting there feeling the vibrations going through into my car. It was so loud. What possesses someone? And it's just like caveman
Well, it's just
sounds.
indoctrination. I think it's just a default position, Eric. Like most people have always been on the default position of the culture at any given time, all the time. And if you were born into a certain space or a certain level of wealth at a certain point in history, you might have got some of the most beautiful music you ever heard in your life going into your ears on a regular basis, But most people didn't. Most people would never get access to an orchestra in the 1800s. They probably couldn't afford a ticket to go and hear one. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with you, yeah.
Technology changed a lot of that kind of stuff and brought music to the masses, and some of it has been amazing. But those days, in the main, appear to have gone. At the moment, they're gone. And I think, again, it's a bit like with the film industry. After, where was it, mid-'80s or early 80s? I don't know. The sequel thing began in the early 80s, didn't it? Or maybe the late 70s. The sequels got going. It just never stopped. And it was all to do with money. Well, and what they'd worked out over a mature sort of film industry is, we need simple stories that we can now razz up with loads of bombs and things and women with large breasts and blokes that look ridiculously handsome, all fighting and doing whatever they're doing, right, in impossible situations. And we don't need much of a story because that stuff communicates globally to a global market, and we want the money out of their pocket to come and see our film. So that's why plots, in certain cases, have just become so simplistic and sort of literally all about evoking a sensation in you, the spectacle. And what's happening after you see a few of these things, you just start yawning. I do. I just want all the good guys dead after 20 minutes. Go, now make a film.
Yeah.
Now show me what happened afterwards.
That's a good point.
But,
Barefoot Foreigner, now you're on target, Barefoot Foreigner. Nathan and I were debating your show premise earlier and possible solutions. A lot appears to be standardization of everything, I agree, leading to transhumanism and robots and communism. This is the point we're getting at. This is the point. That's it. You're on target. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the point, is that going back to the transport thing, cars, whatever, the sensors that are on these vehicles now is there to take away the skills of the mechanic. And if you go back to like the 80s, where your car was basically an engine and some seats, that required a mechanic with some skills to fix it. The same with the locomotive, the same with aeroplanes, presumably ships, but no matter what transport it was. But these days now, the skill has been lost, because with modern cars, they need a laptop now to tell them what's wrong with the car. Whereas a mechanic years ago would have known what was wrong with it. They'd have turned the engine on. Oh yeah, it's that. I can hear it's that. That's the problem. We'll sort that out. Yeah. But with all these sensors that are now on cars, it makes you wonder how many cars now get scrapped or written off because of a faulty sensor, and that's all it is.
Well, that's right. Else. You know what they got now?
Wrong with the actual car itself.
If your tyre goes below a certain air pressure, there's a warning. And what happens if you get your tyres changed? It buggers this little sensor up. And my neighbour had problems. This thing would go beep, beep, beep. It's flashing on her dashboard. She's driving along, drove her up the bleeding wall. Oh, because her tyres were a little bit low. Well, once upon a time, you check your tyres regularly, as I do. If one looked a bit down, you'd pump it up. I mean, it's taking human, shall we say, dignity, or it's things you don't really need. I mean, now, Barefoot Foreigner said Mouse Utopia was lack of purpose. Have you ever heard of Mouse Utopia?
Yeah.
Anybody? Yeah, where they got mice and put them in a utopia.
That's what we're in right now.
And eventually they eradicated themselves. They just got to. I think there's one left.
Well, you can see it's happening all around us. They've modelled it on that.
Yeah,
they've modelled it absolutely on that. You've got people, you've got the preeners, you've got those that have withdrawn, you've got those that because they've withdrawn don't interact enough and therefore become internally demoralised and defeatist and don't know what life's about anymore because they're not living much life. Because, it does involve some risk. It involves risk in relationships, doesn't it? Sometimes you've got to say that thing that but if you don't say it, you're going to bust, right? And it causes mayhem, and then it's all over, and then I'm all alone again, and all that kind of stuff, right? So what? Everybody else has been through it before. It's it's not a big deal, but it's been made out to be. I cannot possibly recover from this. Yes, you can. We recover from so much. I'm not targeting. I don't think the idea to target unnecessary pain and discomfort is a healthy one. That's almost like masochistic, although there are people that evolve in that way as well. But once you've actually provided everything in that particular way, it's too much. You go, well, there's no, where do I fit in? Oh, no, just sit still and we'll feed you every day and you can just look at that television. That's not enough. It's clearly not enough, and it's by design. You begin to stultify. Like I was talking to someone. What is it? The amygdala or something? I can't remember. There's some part of the brain that gets stimulated over whatever you do. I suppose there's loads of bits. Washing up, I was talking about a couple of weeks ago with Gary about washing up, and I don't have a. This is a very small sort of tiny thing, but I'm never ever going to get a dishwasher machine ever. I hate them. I used to hate going to people's houses that use them because the plates were all squeaky with the soap stuff. Oh, it's quite fine. It felt unnatural to me. And the thing is, if you wash them by hand, you can do it quicker and it's cheaper. And you go, I can't be bothered to do that. But actually, in doing it, I find I get quite exhilarated is maybe a bit strong. I get sort of re-energized. I know this sounds ridiculous, right? But it's because for the 10 minutes or so that I'm doing it, I've got lots of little details to work out. This sounds absolutely ridiculous, doesn't it? But I go, all right, go get the water hot. Have I got the washing up liquid? Damn, I meant to buy some. All those little things that go through your head, right? Yeah. Where's all those? Oh, look at that bloody mess in here. Because I've got two sons and it sometimes builds up a bit, But so I'll get up and I'll do these sorts of things. And I'm thinking about something that's completely out of the whole thing that I normally think about.
That's exactly me. Yeah. And actually, I meditate almost.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about. Yeah. We were saying we'd end up meditating. And, and so we become the Fockham Hall meditators, Eric.
That's right. And Alice Gorgeous says, we called our PE teacher Bummer Bert, but we don't talk about things like that, do we? Bummer Bert.
We do now. Alice, you've lowered the tone again. Good gal.
Bummer Bert, I like that one. No.
Do you not think the art of washing up? See, that's where I guess modern technology would come in quite handy, because the washing up side of it is fine. But does anybody actually like drying, wiping the dishes? And
I
stuff?
do.
Does anybody actually enjoy that?
Yeah. Can we say goodbye to everybody on FFT Radio?
Mine, then.
Certainly.
Goodbye, FFT Radio. We're leaving you now in 10 seconds. You can hear the music, you guys, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, have a bloody good
Bye,
laugh.
food for thought.
How eating fresh vegetables can boost your well-being and...
Can it really? But no, that's the thing. By the way, we got that bot back in the chat again. That doesn't make any sense at all. Talking about rupees or something earlier. I don't know. I just leave it there because it's a bit of a laugh. Does anybody notice the bot in chat?
Yeah.
I think someone tried to reply to it, but no, it doesn't. I don't. There we are. It's done its usual. It's put loads of weird stuff down, but just ignore it. Yeah, and it's was it someone called Armitage, and Mike Mantis says has been on before. Trolling. Yeah, it's the last week. Doing no harm, so I'll just leave it there. I mean, it's not offensive or whatever it is. I don't think it's human. I think it's just an automatic bot that comes on. But no, I think what you're saying, I mean, there used to be some pleasure out of getting your vehicle fixed, doing it yourself and things like that. And it's becoming increasingly difficult. I mean, even with my 89 Toyota, getting the parts for it now are very difficult. And with my smart car, it's getting difficult with that. That's a 2002 or 2002. But I'm hanging on to them for as long as possible because modern cars, it takes all the skill of driving away. And, they've got bleeding great screens in them and so much electronic muck that can go wrong. I mean, most of my neighbours are popping back and forwards to the bloody garage every 5 minutes because some warning lights come on their dashboard. And it's good for the garage because they get paid, don't they? Get lots of money for it.
But it's also the build quality of the modern car as well. Somebody where I work with, they got their car parked in the car park outside, and somebody must have clipped this car at really, really low speeds. There's no way they could have done any significant speed where he was sat, and he pulled the full. This was an Audi. It pulled the full front of the car off. I don't think a Ford Cortina or an Escort or a Maxi would have ever gone down that path. They were built like tanks, whereas now they seem to be built to. I don't know what the word is.
Oh, they're the crumple zones.
I know they've
That's right. Yeah.
Zones in, but it's as though they're built so that when they go to the insurers, they'll say, "Oh, we need it. It's knackered. We can't repair it." So the insurance companies get more money for the cars. Whereas years ago, if you got a dent in the bonnet, somebody would probably come along and just hit it with a hammer and get it back to the shape or somewhere near the shape it used to be.
Well, this is the problem with my neighbour's car. I've got it roadworthy for him, but there's a dent in it right near a weld. So you can't pull it out. You can't use a suction thing to pull it out. And the only real thing you can do, because it's like a cavity there you can't get to, is to drill a hole in the dent and then pull it out, put a self-tapping screw in and pull the bastard out. But once upon a time, it's too much to fill. It's too much to put filler in. But he knows now that his car will be a write-off, even though it's got very low mileage and he only does about 300 miles a year in it. So, it's sad, really. He's a pensioner, and he thought the world of his car until, my other neighbour drove into it. But Mark Anthony said, look at modern architecture. Most of it is bland, characterless boxes. I was recently in Norwich Cathedral. That used to be something that army blokes used to write to their girlfriends, wasn't it? Norwich, knickers off ready when I return, something like that.
When I come home.
When I come home, that's it. Norwich. Well, my dad and my mum used to pass messages.
One of the great chat-up lines, Eric.
Yes, Norwich. Well, my mum and dad, they used to actually send messages to each other, and it got through the sensors like, how's the budgie? They didn't have a budgie. And that meant something, or, I hope the bulldog is well. They didn't have a bulldog either. And before they parted, before my dad had to go back to the army camp during the war, they had these sort of set things that they'd say in letters that would get around the sensors. So that, so my mum knew that my dad was going on D-Day, and she knew it was Normandy because he said something about how's the budgie, which meant that he's off to Normandy or something like that. But anyway, Mark Anthony said, look at modern architecture. Most of it is bland, characterless boxes. Oh, yeah, that's it. I was recently in Norwich Cathedral, 900 years old and an amazing feat of architecture. It shows how backward society has become. You've hit the nail on the head. And this is the point I was originally getting at. Not saying all about the marvellous things like mobile phones and that, but the backward stuff, Now, Nathan agrees.
Were they built by a different civilization, as we've mentioned many times before?
Yes,
not by people.
Well, I don't think the pyramids were built by the Egyptians somehow. The ancient Egyptians used them, but they weren't built by them. I really don't think so. Now, Nathan agrees with you, Paul. Agree with you on dishwashers. Never saw the point. I agree. Yes, I do all mine by hand. And Nathan says, yes, I agree about shit architecture too. Yes, that's something that gets right up my ooter. Now,
what we need, of course, or what not what we need, but what would be a nice antidote to this conversation, as it were, would be to see designs for buildings that we would like to see. I bet they exist.
Oh, yes.
Look, I'm just as guilty as the rest of us. We spend a lot of time pointing out what we don't like because, by gum, we're not short of things to point at, are we? It's just sort of like it's everywhere. But there has to be. I'm convinced of it. There's someone out there with a pencil and a sheet of paper drawing something that you go, I think that needs to get built. Now, the fact that it won't get built is the bit that cheeses off, and that some bit of junk is going to get built. I think I mentioned that down at Liverpool Street Station, they're looking at tearing down those really fantastic buildings and replacing them with more stuff, concrete and glass and all this or whatever they're putting up. And it'll be just this more dead environment. It's literally a disease.
Demonic.
It's the symptom. Well, whatever we call it, it's just a disease. It's like a virus in the system. It's unhealthy. It causes the cells, i.e. us, floating around in the system to get all weird and go in funny directions and not know what they're doing and literally become diseased. We're not at ease in this environment because it's not a reflection of us. It's a reflection of some autonomous organization that's just pushing it and pushing it. I mean, if you think about the things that get, I know I'm always banging on about the financing stuff, but it's because someone says there's a budget for that this shit gets created. And it's crap. All of it is crap. And then they sell you on it, don't they? They go, well, we're going to have a big exhibition of this, that, and the other. And you can come and some twat will sort of talk for half an hour to inform you about how it appeals to this. And it's basically an expression of that. And you go, no, mate, that's lovely. But unfortunately, what you're talking about is shit. And this is really but you wouldn't know. You're a peasant. No, that means I absolutely would know. It's the complete. It's the opposite way around.
Beauty doesn't need to be explained. This is what gets me the Sterling Prize. And when I was in architecture, the bloody word salads they come out with. Oh, I think this is aesthetically creative, and within the concept that no, it's shit. Okay, that's it. Yeah. And that's like that time I got fired for saying when there's all pontificating about this some bleeding structure look like they paid a fortune out for a box. For a model maker to make a model of the building, and all they need to do is go down to the local supermarket and buy a packet of bleeding cornflakes, and that would have been the model. I mean, that's all it was. And it was the London Wall that was going to be upgraded, and they wanted this 1960s building upgraded, and was going round waffling about it. And it was unlike me. I just said, and they said, well, what's your idea? I said, well, blast debates with a lorry load of TNT would make a great improvement. Get out!
But it's like what you were saying, Paul. It is right that if you step into something like King's Cross Station or St Pancras, and it's a different atmosphere to if you step into Euston.
That's right.
Yes,
I was in Euston last week, and it's just completely characterless. I'd like to have seen the old Euston because I think that was quite an amazing station.
Liverpool Street is good.
You go into King's Cross, and it's not, and you're not sort of forced. So you spend a bit of time looking at the architecture, and before you go on board your train, you have a look at the roof over the train. It's just amazing. You go down to Euston, it's just it's very clinical, if that's probably the right description. That you walk in, there's this open space of heat and concrete, and then the trains are in a dark, dingy shithole basically, and it's actually a pleasure to get on the train and come out of there and leave it. You know what I mean? Whereas the likes of St Pancras and King's Cross, even Victoria, are just amazing pieces of architecture to look at, and you want to spend time looking at them before you get on your train and go somewhere else.
Yeah, because human beings did it. You know that there were human beings that cared about how other human beings felt when in the presence of a building. Because buildings are around for a long time, aren't they? It's like buying like you buy clothes, but you don't really want them to last forever because you need to. You want to. You're going to be different maybe in 10 years' time. So we've come up with an everlasting pair of jeans. Bloody hell! I don't need to buy anything else. You need a little bit of change. I mean, is it a matter of finding a happy medium? I don't know, but you don't. And then there's some people, of course, buying brand new clothes every week, all the time. You just go, what are you doing? I don't get it. So, but buildings last a long time, and they define the sort of feeling and mood of an area, and they put you, and you go, let's go over to so-and-so. Why? Because I like the look and feel of it. I mean, and it's not rocket science. When you see tourists going around, like, what's the real cliched one would be the Cotswolds. But, you go, well, this is all a bit twee. I don't care what you call it. I won't mind living here. It's got look at that. I'd have a garden, and at the end of it, there's a little brook running at the end of the thing. How cool is that? It's like water is life. All of these things are just naturally go, yeah, we've been around down here. It's in our bones, and we like trees, and we like all this kind of stuff. And cities, London was designed well to start off with in terms of the acreage of green in there. They knew what they were doing, and so there's some good aspects to it, or they used to be. But it's just a bloke fest now. And they're trying to make it do things that it shouldn't do because there's too many people there. And you don't need any bigger. And we know how many of those people that are there should need to go. It's quite easy to spot. And it's, I'd rather not do that because that's going to make me feel a bit awkward. Well, you're going to feel an awful lot more awkward, mate, when there's nothing left. Because that's what's, it's like, do I have to take that spell out of my hand? It's really going to hurt. Well, you don't have to. You can leave it in there, but your hand will come off because you're going to get gangrene. What do you want to do? It's that. It's like one of these big decisions that nobody wants to take.
Yeah.
By the way, that bot...
It's very getting characterless.
Sorry,
yeah.
Sorry, Matt. I was going to say that bot, Ian,
Sorry.
I've just blocked it because it's a bot, so I've just got rid of it. So I just thought I'd mention that. Sorry, carry on, mate. Sorry.
I love a nice bot.
Yeah, so the trips into London now, you're travelling to Waterloo now, and it's just completely characterless. There's nothing to see as you travel in. The old brickwork that used to be there, the London brick colour, was always, you knew where you were, but now it seems everywhere seems to be losing its character or its local area. I suppose, like was it Yorkshire that had a specific stone for houses and stuff, and that was that area, that part of the world.
Yeah, local building materials reflect.
Aberdeen has got granite.
Yeah. Well, I went to a Japanese, believe it or not, it wasn't in Japan. It's in Hertfordshire. This was many years ago. I got an agent phone me up and say, there's a contract for you. And this was when the work was a bit scarce. In a place in Hertfordshire. It was near St Albans. So I went over there and I thought, that's not bad, And they wanted someone to go permanent. Well, I didn't want to go permanent, but I sort of carried it on because I thought I needed the money. So I went there, and there's all these blokes running around like blue-ass flies, and you could feel the environment was stressful. And I sat down, and the bloke who was interviewing me, he got out this sort of like portfolio, and he said, well, we specialise in designing and building shopping centres. So he opens up the page, and you see a typical artist's impression of a shopping centre. And then he opens the next page, and he said, well, that's in some place in the Pacific. And he opens the next page, he said, that's in Chicago. Opens it up. And he said, and that's in High Wycombe. And all the shopping centres were exactly the same. Nothing different with them. So it didn't matter where. Guam, that was it. So the shopping centre in Guam was the same one as the one in Britain. It was just boring, and the place was so stressed out. Everybody looks as if they're about to have a nervous breakdown. And luckily, I can't remember what happened. I don't think I got the job. I couldn't care less. But the contract was only 2 weeks. 2-week contract. I'll ask you. I mean, that's a joke. And he said the usual one was it. We want you to hit the deck running. That means it's a stressful, shitty job, which you're going to be stressed out your mind and then be used as a scapegoat at the end of it. But if you get paid nice fee, you don't really worry. But the money that they're going to pay was absolute pits. But that was another story. It just goes to show you what these places are like. The same design everywhere in the world. You're going to say, sorry.
Well, saying what you were saying earlier on, Paul, about the in the Cotswolds where you got the water at the bottom of the brook at the bottom of your garden.
Yep.
I remember I had a week up in Kendal. And the place I stopped at was
the home of the mint cake.
The river there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and I didn't buy any, strangely, but it was nice.
Queer.
You could hear the river just rushing past, and just it was so amazing. Then they need to start incorporating water features into more towns, and maybe the populations would be more chilled out. Although I guess
they don't want
the
that
mentality of many,
they're not bothered about that.
Shopping trolley in them.
What's happened to water fountains?
No.
Do you remember them? They used to be in almost every park. Water fountains. So if you wanted to get some water to drink, you like municipal water fountains. They used to be out next to horse troughs, which they put plants in now. But you used to be able to go down the town and get a drink of water anywhere, and it was for pets and things like that. Do you know of any places around where you live there's water fountains? I don't. They've all gone.
Yeah, they were nice. There were communal little connection points and water fountains, although you wouldn't drink Corporation Pop anymore now, considering what they put into it. But, yeah.
But, that's the thing. But lots of little freebies you used to get, but you don't get any more. So, that's it.
Could that be part of a plan for Fockham Hall then? Can we have
that's
water
it.
features as
the
part
Fockham
of our
fountain?
Fockham fountain. And then we got the dating, haven't we? Fockham dating. Sorry. But well, we could call it screw fix, but I don't think that's quite the correct one. That was it. Puello2 says, "Hello, I'm sorry I'm late, but the title makes me think it is not only time which is going backwards." You're right. And on that note, I don't know about you, but I think, as you say, Paul, we need to hit that. I need to hit the hay. Are you feeling knackered as well? I think it's the heat that does it.
I am. I've been relatively low energy this evening. I apologise for that. For me,
That's okay.
It's something like that. Something's been going on. I've been drinking plenty of water, but I'm slightly fatigued today. Not normally, but a new week's to start. Lots of fun things to do, and we keep pounding on. So also, it is sort of like that summer period where the clocks have gone forward, and it's a bit like, maybe it's an internal clock thing. Do you feel like you want to go and have a holiday?
Yes.
I do. I'm not going to, but I'm looking. I've had a good couple of long walks yesterday and this morning, and lots of fun, really good stuff. For me, it's good walking and talking, and I haven't done it for a little while. I've been sat down, and I thought, I need a break, and then I thought, I've got nobody to go on holiday with, and all that kind of stuff.
I'm the same.
What would I do? And then I'd be bored. I don't know. Maybe I'll go up to London and go to the museums. No, I've just scratched that straight away.
No.
I might have said something like that 30 years ago, but I'm not likely to say it now. In fact, I'm not saying it, so I'm not going to do something like that.
Yes, but I was funny enough. I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking, because I'm seeing a lot of people that's doing wild camping, and that's got me a bit twitchy. And what that is they sort of go someplace, and there's one bloke who tries to camp on the on the edge of motorways. Seriously, get away with it.
Okay, right.
And lots of nutty people. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't advise doing that. It's very dangerous. But no, in a safe way back from the motorway, he does it. And the other one is on the little green bits on roundabouts. Another fellow that camps on roundabouts. Again, I wouldn't do that. But some big roundabouts that are full of woodlands, and you can actually go into the woodlands. There's nobody there. You're not going to be bothered, are you? And but no, I just fancy doing a bit of camping. I don't know why. I just, I think it's the weather. But that's life, isn't it? But have you ever done much camping? Anybody there? Anybody? Yeah. Yes? No?
No, never.
No, I have.
I like a roof over my head.
Yes. Well, you have, really. It's canvas, though.
About it blowing away or some cow running through it or,
Oh, I'll tell you something. I woke up with cows surrounding my tent, and the noise is bleeding terrifying. It is. You think the aliens are landed or something, Anyway, on that note, please join us tomorrow night for a special guest. We have a special show tomorrow, same place, same time. And on Thursday, Paul, what's coming up on Thursday on Paul English Live?
Well, if I can organise it, we're going to do something. I'm going to do something really rather odd and rather incestuous. You've heard of a gentleman called Graham Moore who runs the English Constitution?
Yes, I know Graham Moore. I've met him.
Yeah. So I spoke to him the other day, and he also broadcasts on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. So what I said to him, this is courtesy of an idea that Paul from America put to me after the show on Thursday. He said, "Why don't you both be on each other's shows at the same time?" I said, that's doable. So I'm due to speak to him tomorrow. So the idea is, my show would go out on Graham's show, and Graham's show will go out on this one. It'll be basically a conversation between the two of us. So excellent. I want to talk to him about the definition of certain words, like British, like the fact that we're not British. And the whole sort of screwing around with the words that we use, because we're actually saying, and I know I'm saying the wrong things at times, not through intention, but through sort of definition, and to really look at that. And what are the British? What is it? What does it mean? Because you've got all these things like British passport and stuff. Well, we're not. I'm English, or am I even that? Am I just a man of England? I want to get my terminology right, because I think, it might sound a little bit anal, but that's how they bugger us up. One of the cultural Marxist things, you get older words and you warp their meaning, like the word gay. It means carefree and happy and full of life and joy. It's a wonderful word and it's lovely, and that's how it was used when I was a teenager. And then suddenly somebody's acquired it so that you associate that good vibe with them, and it's not true that they don't have that quality about them at all.
What about kings? What about kings? That was another one you said on Thursday.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, we don't have a king. Charles is not a king. He's a liege lord. We need to look at that. He's not a king, and this is why the police swear allegiance to him, and they're nothing to do with us. They're now a private corporation. This whole thing, I've just got a sniff, and this is from a conversation we had with Robin Hood on Friday night, which was a cracking show. He brought a document along as well, which was really good, and we're starting to go through that. And no doubt there'll be areas where there's a lot of agreement, and there'll be some where there's not a lot of agreement. There might be, which is cool, because you've got to wheedle into these things. But it appears to me the number one enemy that we've got, one of the reasons why many of these awful things are happening that we've been talking about tonight, is that we have no means for redress of grievances. I mean, we're told that we do, but that we don't even have any courts. They're not under the actual law. They're private courts. They have a license to operate, and a license means permission to do something which without the license would be unlawful. It's permission to break the law, like James Bond. James Bond is given a license to kill because you can't kill. You're not allowed to kill, right?
That's right.
But you're exempt.
Wow, never thought of that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. So you see, and what I'm going in my head is I want the layman's guide to the law. Is a bit of a Slowby title, isn't it? We might come up with something a bit racy, but the layman is we're all laymen, and they're greater laymen. We're peasants as well, and we need to really big it up. And we want to become the menace that they don't, which is the fully educated, vituperative, lovely word that, overly verbal, shouty peasant, so that when we speak, we can pull them up, and they're in breach of everything. I mean, absolutely, but we just don't know it. We just are not aware of what they're in breach of. And if you say, well, you've got all the answers here, but no one's aware of them or what the toolkit is, and we're not using it, what's the point of having it? No point at all. It's literally pointless. And then you go, what are we going to do? We go, well, so I'm saying what I think I want to do. And I'm a Johnny-come-lately to this conversation. I've been aware of it for years, but I've never really ploughed in, is to get to grips with these words. And then provide a little lexicon, like a dictionary, the layman's dictionary to law, that kind of thing.
That's what it needs. You're spot on, like a little handbook.
Yes, a little booklet. And you go, oh, that's what it means. And then we all start talking like that. And so when you say, when they say you've got a United Kingdom passport, what is the United Kingdom? It doesn't exist. The United Kingdom does not exist. It's not a physical piece of territory. It's a political construct and an arrangement. And so we need to change our language. I don't want a UK passport because it's nonsense. I want a passport for a man of England. And I think we need to start issuing our own documents. It doesn't matter if you're not going to... That's not the point. They're used as a learning...
This is why I'm doing the fuck them all passport.
Yeah, it's a learning tool. There's something serious here, though, because they won't swear an oath. All the courts are licensed, right? They're commercial enterprises. They're there to literally keep you in anxiety and fear. They do a bloody good job of that. And one of the great tools they've got is our considerable ignorance of this. I include myself, right? We've been ignoring it. I know it's bad, and you never want to get that letter. You are summoned to court. I mean, what you summons is demons from hell. In films, he summoned up a demon. All this stuff. Yeah, we need to get it running through these shows so that we all start talking like this. And we start talking properly and using the words right, and it'll change things because, these are the people that invented the word racism in 1932. Right?
That's right.
Specifically as a defense mechanism to shut us down. All of these things. And I think it's in the code. It's like they've put a virus in our operating system in lines of code. Those are called words. If we get hold of the words, we can remove the virus. We can act as a proper firewall for our culture, our way of life, which is what we've been talking about all night, isn't it, really?
That's right.
Well, words are spells, which is why they use. Which is why, if you use certain words with certain people, they take offence to it or get dirty or whatever, because you've cast a spell on them. And anything I might be teaching to suck eggs here, but so anything in capital letters is a different language. That's what's called dog Latin.
That's right.
So it's a different language. So when you get like for example, we'll give an example, the TV license. You get the letter through that says to the occupier. Well, that's not you. That's not me. And anything with a Mr., Mrs., or Miss on it also isn't us. So even if you get a summons to court, they're not summoning you. They're summoning your straw man. They're not asking you to go.
Right.
You're going to stand in court and represent this fiction, this legal fiction that never existed in the first place.
That's right.
Which is why when I keep getting things through his power saying we're going to get a southern debt collector around. You carry on. Can you prove that that's me? No, they can't prove it.
I think all the tools are there, Paul. I'm clumsy with them. Got a sense that there's a toolkit over there, and there are some people that are not clumsy, and we all need to lend agreement to sort of bringing this back. We've got in the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights, and also there's another document I keep forgetting about, also the Declaration of Arbroath, right? Documents which nobody really knows exist. They've all heard of the Magna Carta. We've got the greatest heritage of freedom documents, for want of a better word, and they're not just that, but documents that pull us onto the law. And a people without law are not a people. You can't become one. That's what defines us. And this law system that comes out of England, predominantly, right, you've got to get really clear about it, comes out of here, because of all the trouble that we had, is what's been exported all over the world and has formed the basis for the lawful arrangements in these other nations, all of which right now are undergoing a similar attack to ourselves. It's just, and there are powers, all sorts of, like the Treaty of Nice. Do you remember that? You remember the Treaty of Nice about 25 years ago?
Yes,
something like that, right? Yes. Okay, it's a treaty. They want to sign a treaty with Nice. You can't sign it. It's impossible. It shouldn't even be being considered, because you cannot at all. I know they have done, but where have they done it? They've done it in the perception of that lies in the heads of everybody around us. You cannot hand over power to manage any part of this nation to a foreign power. You cannot do it. You never did do it, right? It's an arrangement that's held in the mind and held in space by the media. Okay, but it hasn't happened. This is the way I would phrase it. It just couldn't happen because these laws that we have are in perpetuity. The only way it can get changed is if we get together as a block of people and decide and inform our servants. I know, I'm just using the language. I know they're not. I know they're uppity bastards. The government to do what we tell them to do. We don't have an arena to instruct them firmly in this, and they are not aware of the penalties that will fall upon them if they do not provide performance, which they're failing to do. They're in a contract with us and they're breaching it all the time, and we can't be bothered to even look at it. It seems to me that if we look at it, there's a peaceable way here of absolutely short-circuiting a huge amount of what they do. This is what Robin Hood has been working on diligently and coming up with a lot of stuff. I'm familiar in general terms with a lot of it. But, we've talked about these people. There comes a point where we don't need to keep describing how outraged we are by them. Like Ted Heath, for example, he committed treason and should have been hung by taking us into to deceive the monarch, which is what happened, or she either willingly went into it. She didn't have a right to sign that. In fact, the minute she did that in 1972, she stopped being the monarch.
That's right.
Because the monarch can't do it. So if someone's doing that and then says, I'm still the monarch, they're obviously not. You see, there's a logic that's available to us. And I'm thinking of, you know about they call the wisdom of Solomon from the Old Testament. You heard about these things?
Yes.
They're spectacular. They hit you in the face. You know the one about the best one. It's right in front of us, and we're not thinking straight because we're in a state of anxiety and alarm, because they're very good at that, because they've got to keep us in that condition so that we don't think straight. Once we start thinking straight, we've got all the tools available. But there's that incident in where there's a baby and there's two women arguing, claiming that it's both theirs. One is the natural mother and the other one is her maidservant who's jealous or whatever. I don't know, but they're both making a claim for it. So he asked them both to put their case forward, and he hears it, and they both make an excellent case or something like that, right? So he said, well, it's not possible to decide. He said, you both seem to be equally entitled to ownership of this baby, or whatever the word, it wouldn't have been ownership, but whatever. Therefore, we're going to resolve it quite simply. We'll chop it in half. You can have the top half. And at the minute he says he's going to do that, the real mother leaps forward and says she can have the baby. And then he said, I think we've found the real mother. Get it? It's right there. It's
clever.
Right. It's not clever. It's called wisdom, which is superior to cleverness. And we're dealing with very clever people. And we've got to go to wisdom, which completely subverts and removes they can't operate in the space. There's another brilliant one. There's a book I've got upstairs, which I took 12 years to read, and it's not big. It's that I loved it so much I didn't want to finish it. It's ridiculous. It's the one about Egypt. It's amazing. It's called Winged Pharaoh by this woman, Joan Grant. And the daughter, it's from the point of view of a daughter, and her father's the pharaoh. And there's a similar incident like the one with Solomon, and he has to go around every 3 months or twice a year. He goes around the entire kingdom, and he hears disputes. He settles. He becomes the floating court, as it were, of the pharaoh. And you come before the pharaoh and you put your case, and he made a decision. It sounds cool, doesn't it? I wish it was kind of like this again, right? Much more direct, and get on with it and sort this shit out. Anyway, there's a donkey has been found. A guy, very poor, with a poor family, found a donkey in his poor field, and it's going to make a huge difference to him because he's got nothing to till his field, right? He's suddenly got this donkey. He didn't know where it came from, but he's turned up. Nobody's laid claim to ownership, except a few days later, the farmer in the other field next to him also says it's his. It's very similar to like a claim over the baby, right? It's mine. This farmer in the other field's very wealthy. And anyway, they both come, they make a big plea. And the first guy says, well, I'm broke. There's my family and my 2 children. This is going to save our life because I can now till the field, I can grow food, and we can get our family back on its feet. Things have been very tough for us. So the donkey is like a blessing. He said, okay. The other guy comes forward. He says, my needs are much greater than him. I'm far poorer, and this, that, and the other. And he makes an even better case, right? The guy that's wealthy. So the pharaoh says, okay, here's what we're going to do. So the guy that had really pled well for the donkey, the rich guy, says, you can have the donkey, he said, but the little wealth that you do have, you can give all of that to this man. Just takes the rug out. You see, I just love stuff. Don't you love stuff like that?
Yeah.
It's just epic. Well, we're kind of dealing with this situation here. They're claiming to have powers, and we keep nodding and going, no, they do. They don't. But to get to that point of knowing internally that they don't, and you can then say it with force in your voice, that's where we've got to get to, because that's what makes a difference. When someone stood up in a room and they go, no, and it goes in, it changes the whole energy in the room, because then you're in the presence of truth being spoken.
Oh, you're spot on now.
Yeah.
I haven't got much time for George Galloway, his beliefs, but I have to admit, when he took on the American, was it government? That was about 20, 30 years ago. Bloody hell. He was really good. And they're on the back foot with him. And he said that he got himself psyched up like he did because he was an ex-boxer, like he did when he was going to go into the boxing ring. And he psyched up, ready, and he was ready. And he took him on, and just won against that lot. You know, it's quite surprising. But you're right. You know what you say about words and spells. But you were saying that things like this is why I'm partly for a laugh doing a bullshit book, because if someone's bullshitting, you could say, oh, page 53, here it is, but the real fact of the matter is people have been so conditioned into believing government that that's all they believe in is someone making decisions for them. I think it's a form of laziness, because I was Jehovah's yesterday. I had some Jehovah's Witnesses knock on the door. And I noticed that once you start saying that you're an individualist, the woman said, "What's an individualist?" I had to explain to this Jehovah's Witness what an individualist was. She didn't know.
Right.
And I thought, because they're so obsessed with their Bible and that, they don't sort of look outside the small box that they're in. And I said, well, I'm not interested in being a Jehovah's Witness. I said, you've got more chance of turning the tide back at Southend than you have me becoming a Jehovah's Witness. So I'm afraid you're wasting your time. But it's very nice talking to you. But I noticed whenever I was speaking to them, they weren't really listening. They're just being polite because they wanted to read bits out the Bible to make it look as if and interpreted in a way that make it look as if you're halfway there to become a Jehovah's Witness. It's very clever what they do.
Yeah, that's why I would suggest, when I'm banging on about this word testament, right?
Yeah.
That it's a contract. Just stop them right there, and then you won't have to do all that. Say, what does that word mean? And they won't be able to tell you. We're only 3 words in, and then you tell them that it's a contract. And this invalidates their entire world. This is the problem with these stinking, stupid Christians. They're not actually. What's the point? I know I won't bang on about it right now, but it's really about words. If we've got people in a room and they've got a completely different understanding as you move around of what they've just read, you got a problem. And there's no reason for there to be a misunderstanding, except that some people don't know what a word means. Now, either words mean definite things that can be grasped and understood by the mind and by the heart and by the intellect and by the feelings, or they don't. And I say they do. Otherwise, all language is a complete waste of time, isn't it? Exactly. Everybody's got their own spin on things, but in the end, you go, look, this is precisely what this means. And there are these major things that reset the context. In this case, that's what I used to talk to Jehovah's Witnesses about when they used to come around here. They haven't been around for ages. They say, I say, well, I've got 7 Bibles in the house. Which one do you want me to go get? Not because I'm a nerd about this, but because it's really simple. And this is any field. Don't you think it's any field of endeavour? And it applies reverse back to me. If I say some crap, I need to be picked up on it, and I'm glad of it. You say, Paul, you haven't read that right. I haven't? No, point out to me where it's wrong. Got it. Okay, that kind of stuff. This is cool.
I agree, but to me, Jehovah's Witnesses is a cult. Nothing more than that. It's just a cult.
It's all a cult. All the organised religions have to be determined as a cult because not, as far as I'm aware, not one of them, or barely any few, understand the documents that they've based all their behaviour on. They just don't get it. They don't get that Christ's a racist, that he discriminates on the basis of race, that he doesn't love everybody, that he whips money changers, right? That he only came back for one specific race of people and no one else. They go, he loves everyone. Fuck off. Sorry, excuse my French. But there we go. Sorry.
Well,
either you can read it or you can't. It's really straightforward.
But also, if there is, and I've said this many times on here, that if there is such a thing as a loving God, he's a bit sick because every aspect of this world is violent. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's people, whether it's an ant, doesn't matter what it is. Everything eats something else, and that thing, whatever it's eating, is eaten alive, which is violent and presumably painful and
that's right.
horrible in every way for the creature that's being eaten. So
I guess I don't know. I'm not being eaten yet, or maybe we're being eaten in a different sort of way.
But what gets me is why innocent children, are born deformed, blind, deaf, and all these different things that I just don't get it. But I do believe there's an energy. But what that energy is, I haven't the foggiest idea. But I respect.
I think this is just a really tough training camp, and I think. I know exactly where you're coming from, Paul and Eric, with those sorts of sentiments. I've never really viewed it like that, even when I was younger. It doesn't make sense that it's right in front of us. We're looking at it, but we can't see it. Yeah. And it seems to me that that's one of the reasons for being alive, is to expand and increase and amplify your perceptive powers and your consciousness so that you begin to see what's going on here. It's like, I've often thought that there's multiple levels of of getting better. And this is just one classroom, and it's bloody tough at times.
Yeah.
And yet, whenever our people have held true or truer to the law, we've reduced the amount of crap in the world. That's what it's about. You go, look, if you've got law, you don't like all this stuff, no, stick to this. But it's hard. Well, there's no other way. I mean, if someone else goes, because that's actually what it's about. It's not a religion. It's actually known as the way. This is the way of life, and it's particularly designed for us. I'm banging on again, but it's a way of life. And you go, well, we want to have law. We do want it. I want it. I want to live in a lawful society, so that I know where I stand. And then you go, well, that's going to restrain my freedom. Yeah, too bloody right, mate. I don't want you running around with a Sten gun in the middle of the night. You can't do whatever you like.
See, So I agree with that. There needs to be a law in place, but not to the point where it's being used at the moment to stop people driving. I mean, I know we're going on about the do no harm, but of course there's certain things that might not do any harm, but still might be enough to cause issues, like, for example, somebody playing loud music on a train, for example, like yesterday. After 2 hours, you think, I'm going to smack you in the face if you don't.
Or you could say, hey, this is an opportunity for me to improve my communication skills and my rhetoric. You see, it all depends how you view it. Look, I know some shitty, bloody, horrible, repulsive things take place down here that you can't sit looking at them all the time. You'll slit your wrists. It's awful. What's the disappearance of these children and everything like that. But what you can do in your own backyard is you go, could I do a better job tomorrow than I did today? Yes, you can. And to sort of breed that attitude amongst more and more of us.
Do our best.
And given that you are judged after you shovel off this mortal coil, it's worth thinking about. You go, well, it's a bit punitive, isn't it? We're going, well, I don't know, because we've been fortunate, although we're grumbling a lot, but it's constructive grumbling. Most of us have eaten food every day of our lives. We've grown up in a very rich culture. This is why we detect it's being chewed up from within. We're not completely oblivious to these things. So we've got a lot going for us. And yet, if you listen to us on me, you think it's all gone to cost. But it's because, I would suggest, we've drifted away from effectively the ground rules of how we live best. And when we live best, we have a very positive effect. And that, for me, is like the best that we can hope for. Who knows? You do that for a bit and you suddenly go, okay, well, there's this is the next phase. It never ends. It absolutely never ends. I mean, if you think about many of our forefathers getting slaughtered in battle or slaughtering others in battle or whatever word you want to use, it's happened. It's going on to this very day. And yet we've managed to carve out huge periods in time where we've had very little of that. That's impressive. But it is in comparison to everything else. It's impressive. We don't behead people, although there are a few that appear to be deserving of it. But we don't do that. We don't live like savages, although some people do every now and again. It's circumstances. If we keep improving circumstances, you take people and you put them in a rotten, filthy place, they become rotten and filthy on the inside out. If you raise up the quality of the architecture, the way we dress, the way we speak, people become beautiful.
I 100% agree there. I agree with you. Time going backwards, you really summed it up at that point. Yeah. And also, you're saying we need a book on definitions. Do you know the definition of audacity?
Tell me, what is the definition of audacity?
As someone that comes along and pisses through your letterbox, then knocks on the door and asks you how far it's gone up the passage. Sorry.
and on that wonderful and delightful and vivid toilet humour joke.
Well, that is the definition of audacity. They used to have lots of these. Definition of stupidity. Was it? There's the other ones. Definition of impractical stupidity. Elephant hanging over a cliff with its tail tied to a daisy, all sorts of stuff like that. But anyway, on that note, you'll be thinking about that tomorrow. I think I might. Was it Ken Dodd said, "What a lovely day! What a lovely day for shoving a cucumber through the vicar's letterbox and shouting, the Martians are coming." Sorry. Anyway, on that note, I don't know about you. I was up
I
at
do
5
think we
this
need
morning
unity,
and
by
I'm
the way,
in the
on
world.
what you were saying there, Paul. I
Yes.
know Blu-ray and Alice have both mentioned it, and the biggest challenge we've got is unity. We've got to get past all this divide and conquer and get a unity where we're all.
Well, don't you think that
we're all working
one
together.
of the things that we're unified by is that we're using English as our language, right? So we've all been trained up to a point on how to communicate that, so that's a great connection. I think unity just comes about naturally. Look, birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah,
they just do. You've gone to a pub and you couldn't wait to get out. One day you went into a pub, didn't you? Probably more than once. You went, shit, this is not my sort of place, and you just left immediately. Everything about it was not your place for whatever reason. You go, it's another one. You feel completely welcome, and you don't want to leave. You want to stay there all night.
Yeah.
And someone says, can we go to another pub? I go, I'm really happy here. This is great. Look, it's all sorts of things. I just think unity comes about by pursuing the good. And then you'll end up spending more time with good people. And that, I don't know what else to suggest. We can go around and hang our heads and say there's all these terrible things going on in the world. But honestly, we don't have the power to stop them immediately with the snap of the fingers. And there's probably a damn good reason for that, because we'd cock that up too. We would. I just think we would. It's tricky. God helps those who help themselves. That's really right at the top.
And God help those I catch helping themselves.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Those that are helping themselves to too much, they need to go to prison. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Yes. But no, actually, I believe that all these sort of lefties and do-gooders and things like that, especially those in power, that believe only those in power who believe that we should have more and more people coming over on boats and things like that. If they're convicted of treason, put them in a block of flats with an ankle bracelet so they can't go very far from that block of flats, and move them in with rapists, murderers, and all the absolute scum of the earth, and let them get on with it. And if they survive their 6-month sentence, then shove them on an island on their own. Because, I mean, did you hear about that woman that actually took in some immigrants and was murdered? Oh, sorry, she was raped, I think. She was raped by one of them. Do you
There's
hear about
nothing
that?
you can do. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
Really, seriously. I mean, if you're not being made clear about the basics when you're young, your life's going to be a challenge. Now, we could get really enlightened about it. If you go in the sense that if you say you're going to live multiple lifetimes, maybe reincarnation really is the way it goes, right?
This is what we're going to talk about tomorrow night.
All right. Well, it's in many ways, it's an encouraging thought, because the idea that this is just the only innings you get and that's it, right? Which may be true, I just don't know, seems incredibly harsh, because we spend the first part of our lives not knowing anything. I mean, do you know what I mean? We're just wide open to receiving whatever the culture is of the day. And if you've been fortunate enough to be blessed with good parents, and you want everybody to be blessed with those, then you're off to a good start, because you'll learn some fundamental things. But it can get very rough if you don't. But you could say, well, if you're going to keep coming back and getting polished up here and learning things, then in the end, all of these judgments and these harsh things that have happened to individuals during this lifetime will in due course be overcome by that individual, and they'll begin to understand how they are, this is where it gets a bit, but we create our own lives, our own spaces, don't we, with the decisions that we're making. And those decisions come out of the quality of our thinking, and the quality of our thinking is to do with the degree to which we're paying attention to the good and rejecting the bad. In other words, we discriminate. We're discriminating all the time, and you want to be brilliant at that. You want to be absolutely brilliant at discriminating on things. And, it's that scriptural thing again, that thing, didn't we say it the other day? And then we've got to wind up, I guess. But, don't judge others lest you be judged. It's complete crap. It doesn't say that. Judge wisely lest ye too suffer bad judgment. Now, that makes sense. Got it, right? In other words, grow up, right? Take responsibility for your life. That's why it's a challenge. Oh, I want the government to sort it out. Yeah, well, they'll sort it out, all right, mate, but not in your favour.
And
it's almost as if the government's a lesson for you. In other words, they are actually empowered to be harsh upon us because we are so lax in picking up the reins of decision making for our own lives. Right. And the universe just says, look, you're designed to actually assume and acquire a greater and ever improving sense of responsibility about things. And if you don't do that, you're going to get some tough lessons until you do. That's it. You're just going to get kicked onto it. It's happening whether you like it or not. Well, and you go, yeah, well, I didn't build this place, and I don't even know how it works, and I don't even know what's going on most of the time, but I'll do my best, you know.
Well, I want to cover before I go. Barefoot Foreigner said, "Stinking stupid Christians. It's good use of sibilants, but extraordinarily offensive." Well, this is a free speech show. If it is offensive, so be it. But we're all adults here, and you know, if somebody says something about my bald head or whatever, I couldn't care less, because you know,
I'd never noticed it actually, Eric.
That's right. We speak as we feel. We don't intentionally go out to be offensive to people, and I'm sure you haven't been, Paul, and I haven't been.
I might have been, but I think it's all to do with context.
Eric, you haven't been. Well, that's it. So we're all good mates here in chat and everywhere else, and we can ride above that. So, you know, I can understand that you probably feel that it is offensive, but, you know, that it's a free speech. I believe in free speech. So be it, you know. And
isn't that one of the things we've been talking about trying to get into the point of being free, in that we don't want to be in a society where we dictate to what we can and can't say.
Correct.
Because otherwise we're still in the same situation then as we are now.
Well,
we're trying to get out of this. So
the thing is that you know, if someone
people take offence to everything, no matter what you say.
But the thing is that, you know, as I say, it's a free speech show, and we take it on the nose. If someone wants to be offensive to me, as long as they're not rude, and Paul wasn't rude, that's perfectly acceptable as far as I'm concerned. It's when people are rude to each other, that's not acceptable. But you know, that's it. Anyway, what's this? This is Mark Anthony. He says, "Was it try fading in Happy Days I Hear Again in the background? It's the only way you're going to get to bed tonight."
We've been on for another hour.
We have, haven't we? But it's a fantastic show. Thanks to my guests.
I've woken up since 10 o'clock. Ever since you told me the show was going to end, I felt really lively. Oh, God.
Well, that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for everybody in chat. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anorak and Paul. Sorry I call you Anorak, but there's two Pauls. So I have to say Paul, you know.
That's fine.
And join me tomorrow night, where we're going to be covering partially reincarnation. Ooh, with a special guest, and looking at other areas where we carry our DNA over to, and also a bit of survival as well. So I have to survive what's going to happen. So, and a few other things. So we're going to cover quite a few topics tomorrow night. So thank you very much for joining us, and join me tomorrow, 8 o'clock, the same time, same place. And also Paul English, what is it? You're on Food. We're both on Food for Thought Radio, 8 o'clock this Thursday, where you're going to have, was it Graham Moore?
Graham Moore. I think he'll be on for the first hour. It might go on for a bit, but we're going to talk about, hopefully, I'll confirm it beforehand, but hopefully we're going to talk about these words, or a clutch of them, because Graham seems to me to be particularly learned and precise on these things.
He is.
And I think it's a sound basis, so that hopefully I'll use less wrong words going forward. That's the idea, to reduce the amount of wrong words that I'm using, and all of us, hopefully, for those that are into this sort of thing. I think it'll strengthen each of us to get our language correct.
Well, glad you got through to him, and please subscribe and put a thumbs up. If you're feeling generous, there's the Buy Me a Coffee down below, and whatever happens,